So how was your Christmas?
Dude,
Did you have a good Christmas?
You know what's funny about holidays is I typically don't rest a lot because everyone else is resting. I find I get less emails and less interruption. So I tend to really hunker down and work during the holidays. So I did go have a somewhat formal, well, it was a Mexican dinner, so it's not that formal, but I went to a friend's and had dinner with a number of other friends and did that on Christmas Day. But really, I just was like, I can't wait to get home and organize my closets and go through my Dropbox and just kind of do I guess you can't call it spring cleaning because it's winter still, but just kind of getting ready for the new year. I spent some time doing a vision book for the first time this year.
Oh, really?
Rather than making like a foam core vision board, my business partner, Lauren, she showed me this great vision book that she made, like essentially just got a giant notebook and filled it in with all these cut and paste images and words and things like that. So I've had that stuff on my dining room table for literally 2 months. Every day I walk by it and I'm like I'm not ready to vision.
I don't want
I finally sat down and I spent about 4 hours creating this great book. And so I look at that right before I go to sleep. It's the last thing I look at. And then right when I wake up in the morning, and the stuff comes true. So that's how I spend my holidays usually, is just kind of getting centered and grounded again and getting ready for the new year. And I also tortured myself, and I put out 2 podcasts per week for the month of December because I had a really huge backlog of shows.
We're talking about that.
And I wanted to hit my goal of 1 million downloads. And I was a few, maybe 100,000 short or something. And I was like, damn. And I had all these shows. So I'm like, if I put out 2 shows a week, I'll definitely hit my mark.
Are you getting more traction doing 2 shows a week?
I mean, I think because a lot of people are subscribed to the show, so even if they haven't listened to it, it's getting downloaded more. So I was kind of gaming the system, and I also made a big deal of it on previous shows, like in November. Say, get ready in December, we're going to do 2 shows a week, special bonus episodes, and so I hyped it up to encourage downloads. But here's what happened. You know, Libsyn, right? So Libsyn's the podcast host. 2 weeks into December, because my goal was 1 million downloads by the first of the year, right? And so 2 weeks in, Tati, my show producer, texts me a screen grab of Libsyn, and I had 1,200,000 or something like that. Oh, no way! And I was like, yeah, 2 weeks early. I put it all over social media. I made graphics. I just was so proud. I put it on, my Facebook, banner and the whole thing. And then the next day, check Libsyn, and it was down to like 900 something. I was like, what the hell? They had some sort of glitch and faked me out.
That's not good.
And so this morning I checked, and I'm like 2,000 short, and we have a couple days. And
I wonder what happened.
It's the weirdest thing. And we emailed them, and we're like, dude, you psyched us out. We announced it all over social media, and it was in a sense inauthentic, apparently.
Well, at least you didn't, try to do that.
No, not at all. I mean, we looked at it ourselves. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. And then I was like, it was really tricky too, because I have an advertiser that's signing on. That's a really big corporate, medical advertiser, which is a really big step.
But that's a big deal for advertisers.
Yeah. And they were like, we want to see your downloads. And I had told them that I was at 1 million. So then they want to see screen grabs. I'm like, how am I going to explain to them? I swear to God, 2 days ago, it said I was at 1 million. I was just thankfully they just wanted to see the weekly download totals, which was above 10,000. But yeah, it was really weird. There's a glitch in the system, and so I got all excited, and then now that I'm about to have it, I can't get re-excited because everyone will think that I was making it the first time. Anyway, are
you primarily doing the podcast now? Or are you doing your other business as well?
I do my other business, School of Style, also, but we just switched with that business to an online model. And we killed our live classes that we've been doing for 9 years. And for those of you listening, what he's referring to is School of Style. It's a business where we teach people how to become a fashion stylist. So how to dress people for a living, which is a huge, niche industry.
Right.
So after 9 years of doing live classes, and then the last year of also integrating a few online classes, we made a decision starting effective right now, actually, to just do online. So that's still what pays my bills and kind of pays for my living expenses. It's a great, it's a corporation. I own that with a partner, half and half. So it's a nice tax advantage to have that business, and it is a reliable income. Both of us are just, we're doing our own things. And so we wanted to create a model that we could still make money from and still help people with, still be there and kind of have our place in the industry, but be able to live our lives. We call it Operation Live Life,
Nice. Yeah.
So it's cool. Now I'm actually, I essentially have 2 online businesses with the podcast and the school. And for the first time, Justin, in 29 years, I've had the realization that I don't have to live in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah, that's so
I worked
good.
in the industry for, as a stylist myself for 17 years. You can't live in Ojai or Palm Springs or Santa Barbara.
Yeah, you're stuck.
You got to live in the thick of it because it's just, you commute all the time.
I saw your Instagram the other day, and I think it was a video, and you were just talking about how grateful you were to be able to be, I don't know if it was New Year's Eve, just, it's 11 o'clock at night, just editing your podcast, chilling out, you know, and
so
it's nice to be able to do that.
I mean, it's cool to not have a technical job that requires me to be anywhere. And even with the podcast, I mean, you were asking if I did a lot of the interviews in person versus on Skype, and I could do them all on Skype and never leave, but I like the personal interaction. So that's one thing. I'm very fortunate to live in LA and have so many interviews I can do in person.
Oh, everyone's in Southern California. It's either Southern California, it seems, or Austin.
Yeah.
Austin's a hotbed.
Yeah, they are.
Southern California.
Tim Ferriss just moved to Austin.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Where's he from? Is he from LA?
He's been living in the Bay Area for a long time.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's out there, and the guys from On It,
all those guys are out there, and there's so many functional medicine people out there, and holistic doctors and healers. Yeah. My dentist is over there, and he's not in Austin, but he's in not Dripping Springs, Marble Falls.
Oh, okay.
So it's only about an hour away from Austin, but So what? First of all, how does it feel today to be on the other side of the mic?
Dude,
it's kind of fun, right?
I love being interviewed. It's so fun because I don't have to be in control and like steer the ship. Like I just did an interview, as you know, right before I came over here with Daniel Schmachtenberger from Neurohacker Collective.
I was watching that
product called Qualia. And I mean, this is a brilliant guy. I mean, I don't know IQ numbers, but his has got to be high. And so I had 3 pages of questions. We sat down for 2.5 hours, and I barely feel like I even scratched the surface of what I want to cover. The guy's he's just brilliant. So, but that was like work because I'm thinking about the time. I knew that I had to be here. I didn't want to be late. I mean, you're kind of, as a host, you have more responsibility.
Right. It's hard because you get people that want certain questions answered, but to be the person being interviewed is always fun.
Oh, because it's like, hey, it's your show. Whatever, we're out of time, or let's keep it moving, or what direction you want to go. I'm just like, cool, you lead, and I just talk until you tell me to stop. So it's really fun. For
those that aren't familiar, I'm sure everyone is. We've got a lot of people that also listen to your podcast, but your podcast is awesome, dude. Like I've been really enjoying it, and I listened to your latest one on what's that? Hydrogen. Yeah, it was like 2 episodes ago, right?
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Yeah,
right?
So I want to talk to you about that. But do you foresee yourself? Would you prefer to do just podcasting only, or what's the sort of direction you want to take both of your businesses?
I have a very clear vision. I mean, I think myself and my partner with the fashion school is we really want to be less hands-on with that and really just own the company and hire other people to run it and have a less day-to-day operational sort of relationship to it.
So your passion's more here.
Yeah, for sure. It's just we've spent 9 years building that business, and it's not in a place where we could sell it in a profitable way because we just changed the model so drastically, and I think it will be, but it's not. It's like you don't want to let it go. It's we gross $1 million in sales a year.
So it's like
it's nothing to scoff at, but at the same time, neither one of us are fully invested. We're in a different place in our lives, and so what my vision is to really do more public speaking. I've got about 4 books in my head about different topics.
Nice.
Growing the podcast. I mean, I'd love to be in a position of a Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss or Rich Roll. Like, I'd really like to have a massive podcast with huge reach and really be able to help a lot of people with that. And I just love doing it. And
it's more fun in person too. I got to admit,
it is. Yeah.
Oh man,
Skype, dude. I get spoiled because I travel to New York a lot with my other business, and there's so many amazing people out there. I mean, dude, the last time I was there, I did 15 interviews in 12 days. So, were
you at a conference or you just?
No, I was out there with School of Style holding our last New York class, and I just. My school was paying for a really nice hotel and a first class ticket. And, I had a trip to New York City in style because that's how we do it. We're called School of Style for a reason. So I had these really great locations and Airbnbs, and I was like, God, I booked one interview, I think, and I thought, well, if I booked one, I should just do a bunch.
Yeah, you might as well.
I spoke at a conference out there, and there were like 5 people at that conference that I was just blown away by, or more of a seminar kind of thing called Whitma Live. So I enlisted 4 of their speakers and then started asking them, hey, do you know anyone? Do you know anyone? And I just nailed so many in person. So
that's awesome.
Between New York and living in Southern California, I mean, pretty much everyone I want to interview is here, with the exception of like a Dr. Circus who's in Brazil, you know.
Dude, how hard is it to get that guy away from Brazil? I don't think he's ever going to leave.
You get him on Skype and you hear like the parrots in the background, in the jungle and stuff.
I just listened to his latest show he did with Patrick Timpone over at One Radio Network. Yeah, that's also a great show.
Oh, cool.
He does a daily show.
Wow.
Yeah, he does a daily show.
That's like John Lee Dumas, man. You know.
He batches though, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Which my interviews are too long and too spontaneous to batch.
Yeah. Do you do much editing? Do you edit that?
I have someone that edits them. Yeah. So what I do is I have a Dropbox folder that's linked between myself, the graphic designer, the audio producer, my video guy. And so any content I produce, I just dump into Dropbox, let everyone know it's in there.
Nice.
So I have a guy, Dustin, that puts the episode pieces together, and then he interviews, or he edits the actual interviews.
Okay. He goes through the whole thing?
Yeah. He does. Wow. Yeah. He's really great. He EQs everyone. He takes out ums. Oftentimes I swear more than I would like to, so he goes in and edits out some of my...
Oh, you can't take all that out, so I got to be authentic. You know?
I mean, sometimes I'm really loose with it, and not everyone is on board. I want to, you know, it's always a fine line of being real and authentic, but also not wanting to hurt people's ears. And a lot of people listen with kids and stuff. I mean, I don't have him make them PG, but I just did an interview with a guy named Saudi Simone, actually in New York, for example, and it wasn't so much me, but Saw used like the C word a couple times.
Oh yeah,
which is a really volatile word.
Yeah,
especially to women, they don't like the C word.
No,
and it wasn't me saying it, so I'm sort of absolved of guilt or possible blame down the road.
Right.
And he was referring to himself in his most negative time in his life. It's like, I was such a C word, and I realized that. And he wasn't like, hey, that woman is such a C word. So it wasn't as
It wasn't directed towards someone.
It was more self-deprecating, but still that word just makes people bristle. And so and then when he said it, then I started talking about the word, and like I had this whole weird like political rant on it. And then when I listened back to it to do my show notes, I was like, I cannot put this out. So
that's funny.
So I had Dustin take
that out.
The second major C word, and then my dialogue around the use of the C word.
Yeah.
So things like that. But what I do is I just do my intros, my outros, all my little promos, bumpers. When I run ads for brands, as you do, I read those, or not I read them, I just kind of say them and record them.
Yeah.
And then in Dropbox, I just have maybe one episode will have about 8 different little MP3 files, and I number those.
Okay.
And then they're just like 1 through 6 or 1 through 8, and then my sound editor goes through and puts all the little pieces together.
That's cool.
I make it really complicated. I was watching Dave Asprey do his podcast on YouTube the other day. I didn't even realize he does this. The person sits down and he does the intro live. Like he has notes in front of him. He reads his ads. He talks about their bio or whatever.
I know, less editing.
And then he just starts the interview. I'm like, dude, how do you remember all that stuff? Like, I'm way too much of a perfectionist. Like, I want my intro to be really clean. I don't want there to be, places where I fumble and ums and. Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, he does it right with the guest sitting there. He sets up his fact of the day and the cool fact of the day.
He's got a great podcast.
All that stuff on his show. He does it live, like with the guests sitting there. I'm just like, dude, God, my life would be so much easier if I could just go
do that.
Of my need for excellence. And I think my show probably sounds to a degree a bit more polished and professional because I take the time to parcel out all those little audio bits. And I mean, I'm really tight with I've got a great theme song and everything's really pretty dialed in. But it makes it so much more work. I wish sometimes I could just wing it.
I know.
I mean, you guys, do you still do a live show?
We don't. I would if it just wasn't something about it wasn't working for us. I'm not quite sure why or what yet, but I would like to go back to a live show. I really enjoyed it. I eventually we'll get internet in here. We'll do a live show in here, and live shows are fun because you get to like answer questions. People are listening right then. It's really cool.
See, I guess you guys are probably one of the first podcasts I started listening to on a regular basis, and had at that point having not tried to produce one myself, it's just like, I don't know, it's like listening to a live radio or something.
Yeah.
And I never realized how complex podcasting was. And then when I think I came the last time and saw your setup here, I was like, oh my God, these dudes are like live on the air doing what we're doing right now. That would be so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my Instagram live and Facebook live going right now, but those aren't the main thing.
Right.
I would be so freaked out if I was producing my actual, like, my main content channel being the podcast, and people just could see it, warts and all, and mistakes. And like when I used to listen to your show, the internet would go out and you're like, okay, hang on, you guys, we got to dial them back out. You know, like Skype would crash and it's just like on your show, and you're like, oh my God, I would be freaking out. You know?
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. I like it a lot because it's kind of like just a conversation you're having, and there's always going to be technical glitches. And I think that, you know, as you and I, people like us that create content are doing that, I think people realize we're not CNN, we're not Fox, you know, we're going to have all these issues. And I think people are pretty forgiving about that. Yeah. And, you know, you can always take that out in post-production too, which is kind of, but I kind of leave that in. Sometimes I'll just talk with Kate if she's on, and we'll just rap, or I'll talk about something until the internet comes back up, and you know, it's fun. I like it. Yeah. Dude, cool. I'm super cool about I'm stoked about what you're doing, because there's such a cool, there's just a lot of really awesome podcasts that are coming up. And it's funny because a lot of people will say like, oh, you know, isn't that guy the competitor to you? Oh, you know what I mean? Or, don't mention this guy's podcast because it's a competitor. Right. But I'm just so happy that there's all kinds of awesome podcasts. Like I was just looking on your website tonight, and you've been on a ton of podcasts like this one and a bunch of other ones. Yeah. And it's just really cool because it gives me hope that there's awareness of healthy living. It's spreading. Right. You know, it's like, it's amazing to me because on one side, like there's people that I know that drink tap water, and they're 75 years old and they've been doing it for 30 years. Joe and I just had some because we went to Starbucks. We were so tired. We won't talk about that. We won't say anything. I'm like, I have a fantasy that they have some kind of filter. And if you ask them, like, oh, it's filtered. I'm like, really? You guys are changing the filter. Does it get fluoride out? You know, it's like, what kind of filter is it? Is it 12-stage filter? You know what I did? I don't want to digress, but I have this card, dude. It's a quantum grounding card. What? Yeah. And dude, it is when I hear something called quantum, I automatically go, oh, that means bullshit. Yeah. But this card, dude, you can take it and wave it over like really bad acidic coffee or wine or all sorts of different things, and it restructures. If it has water in it, it restructures it and it changes the taste. So we just did that with a really bitter, gross Starbucks coffee. Did you really? Yeah, we did an A/B test. He even know what I was doing, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, this one tastes really smooth." Yeah, it's weird. What are you doing, dude? It's weird. That's funny. Yeah. So it's TIERRA science.com if you guys want to check it out. I met these guys at the Bulletproof Conference. That's awesome. And they did a bunch of muscle testing, holding the card, not holding the card, testing lemon juice, coffee, different drinks, and I walked away. I was like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. So you could taste the difference? Oh my God, yeah. Oh, wow. It's insane. You can blow it on your food, or wave it over your food, and it changes the taste of your food. Like you get a piece of wild salmon, cut it in half, put on 2 plates, treat one of them or ground one of them. It'll have a totally different taste than the other one. It improves the flavor of everything. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, no, it's just cool. Like there's people out there that are, 75 years old that have been drinking tap water for 30 years. Thank you for bringing us back. See, that's the great thing about being interviewed. I can like go off on a tangent. Yeah. Like, you bring us right back into the lane. It's just really cool because I'm just so glad that more and more people are not watching or listening to radio anymore or watching the news. It's just so cool that I'm all for more and more people starting podcasts about any number of subjects, whatever you're interested in. The more the merrier, because that way, that's one less person that's watching CNN or one less person that's like, programmed by the media. I agree. And that's why I was telling you earlier before we started recording, I'm very transparent about my whole process of producing a podcast. I'm like a free outlet for how to have a podcast. I mean, I'll turn on Instagram Live and show people me producing the whole show and how I book the guest and make the artwork and how Libsyn works and iTunes works and how we make our money. And I want free media to flourish. And I agree. I found people in this industry to not be competitive and weird at all. Even like the first
The first two guys that ever, I have one of those things in my car.
Oh, yeah, one of these things?
Yeah, I got it
that's
from
so
Bergman.
Good. Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's where I got
John
mine
Bergman.
too.
Yeah, dude, I love that thing. I crack my back on it all the time.
I know, they're great.
He's got a little foam roller kind of behind his back, folks.
Yeah.
Until I forgot what I was saying now. So the non-competitive scarcity weirdness, you know, because I experienced a lot of that in the fashion and entertainment industry. The people are very protected with their contacts and publicists, and Hollywood is very like dog eat dog.
Yeah.
And so I'm used to that. And when I first considered entering into the field of health and wellness in a professional sense, I was really intimidated. I had really horrific imposter syndrome because I only had credibility in another industry. Right. Even though I had some expertise and experience in this realm, it wasn't like vetted and proven at that point.
Right,
you know? I had nothing to show for it. It was just stuff that was in my head. But the first guy, and he's a mutual colleague of ours, is Daniel Vitalis.
Oh, yeah.
And I did a talk at one of Neil Strauss's mastermind men's group events. Okay. And Daniel was one of the speakers, and Neil just threw me a bone and allowed me to come talk. And David Wolf spoke, and Jack Cruz, and all these huge guys, Ben Greenfield.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big players. And I was one of the speakers. I was like right before David Wolf.
No.
I was like, dude, book me on Sunday morning or something.
I know.
Yeah. He's like, no, Neil was like, yeah, man, come on, it'd be great. We'll put you on right after David Wolf. I was like, dude.
How am I going to follow that?
Yeah. But anyway, back to the, the encouragement and that camaraderie that we have. After I spoke, Vitalis pulls me aside and he goes, dude, you could totally be doing this like what I do. You could do what I do tomorrow. And I was like, what? No. Wow. But no one knows who I am.
He's a great speaker. He's very dynamic.
Yeah. And he goes, no, I'm not bullshitting, dude. You need to do this. This is like your thing. That's awesome. Totally do this. It's a no-brainer.
Wow.
So he was and then he had me on his show. Really, I got a lot of exposure from that on the Rewild Yourself podcast. I was on there a few times, and then he was on mine. And what I thought was so cool about that is here's a guy who's kind of in the same space, and he's going, hey, come on into my party. Like, I'll introduce you to my tribe. And he wasn't like, I don't want to have you on my show because you'll take my followers and I don't want them to listen to your podcast.
I know, it's stupid, huh?
Yeah, he talked about my podcast all the time. And it's like, and then we both really were able to support one another because I sent a lot of people to his work that might have never found it.
Yeah.
And it's that, it all goes back to that.
It's a whole new mindset.
That scarcity mentality. Yeah. So I love that you're, cool in that way and you get it. And I think most of us kind of do. Every podcaster I've hung out with, they kind of, I don't get a competitive sense or that, they want to hoard their resources. Yeah. I share guests a lot. You've helped me out with guests. Hopefully I have with you. If not, I will.
Totally.
But if somebody has an advertiser I'm interested in, or somebody wants my contact at Organifi or Four Sigmatic, like I'm like, cool, let's support all these brands. Let's support all the shows.
I know, because they're cool people doing really cool stuff and you want to support.
As you said, the other channels of information that we grew up with, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. It's like I actually believed what was said on TV.
That's crazy.
It probably was also largely bullshit back then. Yeah. But now, it's almost 100% fake.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
On both sides. Every once in a while I turn on some news program online and I'm like, oh my God, this is what people are getting their information from.
That's insane.
It's really, it's legitimately mostly propaganda.
You know who needs to start a podcast, who I've been following for a while, and I met him a couple years ago, who's just on our show. Oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank? I need more of his DHA. What's his name? Matt Blackburn.
Matt Blackburn.
Dude,
amazing.
He is unbelievable. He blew me away when he was in, and he's so knowledgeable. And I was going back and watching some of his videos. Yeah. And I want to get him on the show again. He needs to start his own show.
Yeah.
So he's a cool guy.
And his Mito, the guy he's referring to, has got a product called Mito Life.
Mito Life, yeah.
Mito Life, yeah, is his brand, and he makes this algae-derived DHA oil, which is just fantastic.
Did you see him the other day drinking 2 bottles full of it on his Instagram story?
No, are you serious?
I thought we're never going to hear from him again.
Right.
Or he's just going to be like super, super even smarter than he already is.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah. But he's a good guy. I love that stuff. And I've learned a lot from Matt too. The one thing I got from him on his email or something was to ground the ice bath.
Yeah.
So I have an ice bath in a freezer, like a Sears freezer, a 17 cubic foot freezer.
Okay.
It's literally, anyone can do this. You go to Sears, $500, get the warranty.
You get them on Craigslist now.
Oh,
people
right,
are selling
right.
for like $200.
Right.
That's great.
Take it, put it in your backyard, fill it up with a filtered hose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a chloramine filter on the hose. Fill it up, plug it in, let it cool off. You got an ice bath. And I thought I had it figured out, and then I saw he got a copper grounding.
Yeah, you got one of those things from Omika.
Yeah.
Put
that in the ground, and then ran a wire with an alligator clip into the bath. I was like, oh, genius! So I started doing that and unplugging it. Also, just to be on the safe side. That never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Just when you think you've got it dialed, someone who's relatively obscure like Matt comes out of the woodwork and is just like doing some really genius biohacking.
Yeah, he's cool. I like that guy a lot, and his head is in the right space. He's out there to help people. He's always producing content on Instagram. And I just like him a lot. And there's a lot of really cool people out there. And what's awesome is that there's really great products that are out there. I mean, he has his DHA, which I'm taking, and I love that stuff. Yeah. But he's got his product and he's got his thing. But what's really cool is there's people like him out there now that are just like, you can tell. Like he came in here and he's like giving me all the Sota things and all this stuff to try and all the biohacking everything and it's just really cool to see people, because now the barrier of entrance to understanding who you're buying from is gone. Right. So now you could just like, people want to buy something that we're selling or you're selling. They get to know you through your podcast. And it's like, back 30 years ago, if you want to buy something from Kmart, you don't know who Kmart's run by. Right. You don't know anything about them. So it's just,
that's true.
I just love the way it's going. People they're much more transparent.
Totally, and I think that they're, in order for brands to survive and to scale and actually last a while, they have to be transparent in order to compete. Right. Because the guy next to him will tell you everything about their product.
And he's going to do it.
And the customers like us are becoming more discerning. So I'm the geek that literally, I remember I used to buy this, I still would. I just ran out of my kefir grains, but I was getting this raw goat milk from Erewhon. It was like fucking $50 a bottle or something. Oh, man. Erewhon. Yeah. But I was getting this raw goat milk and making kefir, or kefir as the fancy people say. And I got these grains from this Amish family in Colorado, like these, really heirloom kefir grains, some really good bacteria. And then I was making that, and I thought, wow, I'm really going through this stuff. And I thought, it looks like milk because it's white, but it's mostly water. So what water are these goats drinking that I'm drinking the water of? Right. And I'm the a-hole that will call the farm and be like, excuse me, but are they drinking agricultural runoff from, irrigation? Are they drinking well water? Are they drinking municipal water that you're using a hose to fill up? And they were like, oh no, this is all well water, and the well water is really clean. You're good to go. Okay. I was like, cool. And I do that with bone broth too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, that whole thing recently with bone broth, do you know about that? What? Well, it's interesting because bone is where is the part of the body where heavy metals and chemicals especially concentrate. Lead, right? Lead. Yeah. So there's all this controversy now with inorganic or bone broth that's not organic, all that powder stuff. Right. Has shown, I guess, and Mike Adams did a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And it's showing super high copper, lead, all kinds of stuff. Right. Well, and that's an issue. It's funny because I promote two bone broths. One's Arizona grass-raised beef. That's like the champagne of bone broth. I mean, they're out. I interviewed the guy, the rancher himself. Wow. They're out obviously in Arizona, and I mean, their standards are insane. Really, really high quality. It tastes and looks different than any other bone broth, but it's very expensive, and you got to have it shipped frozen in these big quarts. Is it come in? Does it come in powder or is it? No, it's liquid, frozen liquid. Oh, it comes in dry ice. The shipping, it's the best stuff, but you pay for it. Yeah. And then the other one I do is Kettle and Fire. Okay, which doesn't require refrigeration and is a bit more mainstream. They're they're not like a family farm situation. But I interviewed Justin Mayers, the founder of Kettle and Fire, and I grilled him on my show. Because, I put people on blast. I don't warn them either. I'm just like, all right, so where does the water come from? What are they eating? Are they grass finished or are they just grass fed? Like all those nuances. Yeah, you got to know that stuff. And then came the question. I was like, all right, do you test your batches for heavy metals? And he's like, what, are you kidding me? Of course, duh. Because I can show you the lab results. Every batch we do, we test for metals, molds, the whole thing. I was like, cool. So then I feel good about putting it on my website because I have a store like you guys do. That's where I probably got the idea to begin with is, all the brands that I have affiliate relationships with, I sell through my store. But
you got to have high quality stuff.
If there's anything not legit about it, I'll take it off.
Yeah.
If it's not something that I would use or do use based on those questions. So back to your point, there's a consumer demand of that transparency and just the knowledge base because of people like us. Now someone watching on one of the various channels we're broadcasting on that found out about bone broth and knows it's good for them. Now they are armed with information where they can call up the company they get their bone broth from or the farmer's market and be like, hey, have you tested for metals? Where does the water come from? What are they being fed? You know,
it creates demand and it creates a high quality customer, which are holding the companies to super high standards, which I think is super important. And a customer that's
willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to pay top dollar for the best bone broth. Once I'm convinced that the quality's there, then if it's $2 more, I'm like,
who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where all of our money goes, like outside of bills, it all pretty much goes to food.
Oh,
you know, it goes to food like it goes to our diet.
I have a question for you though about the powdered bone broth. I was about to buy, you know, that brand. It comes in the big tubs. It's like different flavors. It's like that
Ancient Nutrition, I think.
Yeah. Is that one of the ones that? Because I looked on the label yesterday and it didn't say anything about metals. And I didn't get it.
Yeah, it was. You can
search. It's made out of chicken bones.
Yeah, and I think they have they might have beef as well. But Mike Adams, that was one of the brands he tested, and it showed up high.
Dude.
So he retested a week later the organic versions of those, and they were all clean.
Oh, really?
They were all clean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now if I do it, it's all organic.
Metals, man, because I already have fairly high lead. My mercury's okay, but not great. But the lead, I really look out for because I got somehow where along the line I got a lot of it in me.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really hard to get rid of.
Do you think what do you think?
Dude, probably just living in LA air.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in the path of LAX air traffic,
anywhere near there,
they're dropping leaded fuel all over you all day long.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't, you know, it could have been, lead stays in for a long time. So it could have been from being a kid and eating paint chips or something. Who knows? You know?
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah, pretty high levels. So I've been working on a lot of strategies to get rid of it.
So first of all, do your friends think you're crazy doing all the stuff you do?
They think I'm crazy.
Joe says yes.
They think I'm crazy until they have some issue.
Right.
And then who do they come crying to?
Yeah, that happens to me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my house is turned into sort of a biohacking lab. So if any of the kids have an ailment, you know, they come over, right, what do you got? Like what herbs, what detox? I want to use the sun or use the Juve red light therapy or the Amp Coil, some PMF, you know, whatever it is. And I like that sort of being a clinician and helping people. Where I've found the line there of balance is not proselytizing and imposing my will and my personal control issues on other people, which has taken me years to be able to.
That's a spiritual side.
To break that habit and just, hey man, if I'm hanging out with someone and they're sitting there eating a bucket of ribs or something full of MSG, I don't say anything, even though in my mind I'm like, oh my God, they're giving themselves cancer right now. No, it's none of my business. Now, if they're sitting there eating the ribs, the fried chicken or whatever, not like I hang out with people that eat that stuff, but you know, whatever they're drinking a tap water or whatever. If they ask me, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like,
I know, right?
It's funny you should ask. And then I'll really like dive in. But I've learned how to just leave people alone. And so the more I do that, then the more people are sort of attracted to the lifestyle because they're like, they get more curious. It's sort of like if there's someone in a corner whispering to another person, you're more interested in what they have to say than someone who's yelling in your face, you know? So.
That whole concept is really challenging because for me, when I first got into this whole thing, I got into it in 2003. I started with the Juice Man, Jay Cordage, all of his stuff. And then I got into shortly thereafter, David Wolf stuff and just the process continued.
Yeah.
But when you start learning about like, okay, so there's foods that are actually causing disease and cancer. And then you start realizing, wow, my husband or wife is eating those foods. I love them. My parents are eating those foods.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And then you start realizing, wow, there's also therapies that you could implement in your life that reverse those things. Can't say the cure word or the C word because that's a bad thing, but help reverse those things. And so then you start realizing, I know what's wrong with this person. I know why they have the sickness they do. And I have a remedy for them that most likely will work, but they're shut down to all of it. And so it's at some point you have to like let everyone just be on their spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And just allow that.
Yeah.
And that's their path. And that's if they want. Our next door neighbor, who is my wife's, Kate's grandfather, he's like 94 years old. His 87-year-old wife has brain cancer. And Kate's family knows what we do and knows, but they've never asked anything. I've even offered information like one time and the email was just ignored. And that's totally, that's a hard one. That's a real hard one, because these are your family members. You love them and you have something that could at the very least alleviate some of their pain.
Right.
But then as a spiritual practice, you have to just let that go. It's hard, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I talk about it like it came easy. I mean, it's been a process for a number of years to just do my own thing. And also on the other side of that, in regard to do my friends think I'm crazy, is I think that if you asked most people that know me if I'm enjoying my life and I'm happy, they'd probably say yes.
That's a good thing.
You know, so I've found I don't really need to say a lot. It's just people go, wow, you have a lot of energy and you're super high vibe. And when I'm around you, I feel good. I mean, people tell me that. You
That's
know?
a good,
like, oh, man, I was really stressed out and now I'm hanging out with you and geez, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's always a good thing.
And I don't take credit for that. I know what it is, but it's the inner work and consciousness work over all the years. But see, that is what will attract people. And even sometimes with the health practices and doing that stuff on my show, the more physical, material level work, to me is almost, it's important, but it's kind of a novel thing that I'll use as a Trojan horse to get people into doing the real work,
right?
Which is more the inside, like you're talking about, the spiritual side. And that's the stuff that is like really more meaningful to me. But it's also difficult to ascend spiritually when your body's really toxic and you
have no energy.
Yeah, and you have no energy and your neurotransmitters are screwed up and your hormones are screwed up and you know your toxin load is really high. I mean, try being spiritual and meditating when your brain doesn't work right.
Yeah.
So,
or you're neurotic, you've eaten too much sugar and you're just antsy and all that.
So it's a whole systems approach, I think, but most people that know me know that I'm pretty obsessive and crazy about it, but they appreciate it because I'm willing to kind of take the arrows and be the first one into the village, you know what I'm saying? And I'll try things experimentally. I'll take too much of it. I'll get sick. I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine. And then once I've gone in and I'm still standing and deriving some benefit, then they'll kind of come in and try some things. So I like being the forerunner. And if it makes me a little crazy, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
And you know, you figure most people are living a crazy life anyway. I mean, it's crazy in the other direction. So, you know, I just figure why not, you know, do the things that are going to be healthy for you.
Right.
You know, for me, it's like, I love the biohacking. I was telling Matt this when he was in, I love the biohacking side of things. And I love like doing all that stuff where, you know, using the red light and I'm doing the PEMF and I'm doing the, you know, grounding and all this stuff. And I love all that stuff. But ultimately for me, it's like, I like the spirituality part of it. I love the dynamic with your family and all of that, because that's ultimately what it's really all about, is the spiritual side of all this stuff, you know?
Absolutely. I noticed that a lot in myself. I'll get up maybe and I'm feeling a little off kilter, not balanced, not centered, not maybe emotionally or mentally where I would prefer to be. I've got a big interview to do and I'm kind of just like not feeling ecstatic for whatever reason. So I think, I'm going to take, 50 supplements and my nootropics and smart drugs and this and that and jump on the trampoline and do my red light thing. And I'll try all this biohacking stuff and like, I still kind of feel the same. Yeah. And then I get on the phone and just have a heartfelt connection with someone. Yeah. Or see someone and get a nice hug or give a nice hug, or
sometimes it just trumps all the biohacking,
or just stop, really have a sincere moment of prayer and just really check in with my creator and get that connection, awareness back. And it's like, that did way more than the handful of stupid herbs I took that are supposed to elevate your whatever levels. It really does come down to the spiritual, but at the same time,
you got to have the physical as well.
Yeah, it's a systems approach, So I love exploring all of it. I mean,
so do you meditate every day? Like, what are some of the things you do for spirituality?
Yeah, it's funny. We were just driving from my prior interview, and Joe here.
By the way, what episode will that be? 113, 114 of yours?
The one that I did today with Daniel Schmachtenberger. It's probably not going to come out for another month or so.
Oh, that's right.
Today, so it's probably going to be number
like around 120
or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think right now I'm at 114 or something.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but
no, it's
okay,
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe and I were just driving up to get here, and he's like, "Hey, did I tell you I learned Vedic meditation?" I was like, "Dude, sick. Let's meditate."
No,
but we were trying to get here, and we had like 45 minutes. It was our ETA, and we're like, "Cool. We each get 20 minutes, and there's a 5-minute buffer to grab a coffee afterward." So he did his 20-minute meditation in traffic on the way up here, and then we pulled over, switched, and I did mine. So yeah, I meditate at least once a day, if not twice a day. The kind that I do is called Vedic meditation. It's very similar to TM, Transcendental Meditation.
So tell me about that,
because it's mantra based, twice a day for 20 minutes.
Mantra based. Okay, so 40 minutes a day, twice a day, 20 minutes.
20 minutes a day, twice a day. Yeah, in the morning and in the afternoon.
So 20 in the morning, 20 in the evening.
Yes.
Okay.
2 20-minute sessions, and that sounds like a long time, but I find myself sitting down, opening my phone up and going on Twitter, and 45 minutes go by.
Oh, yeah.
I could have just worked out.
I know. You could have done the whole workout. Yeah.
Or meditated or did whatever, So I watch myself and I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. Yes, I do have time for that.
Yeah. It's scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, emails.
All that mind-numbing. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. It's just distractions.
Yeah. It's stuff that you didn't plan in your day.
So the way that I learned Vedic meditation was from my teacher, Jeff Kober, who's also an actor. He's been on The Walking Dead and Sons of Anarchy and a bunch of shows. Yeah, he's a really great guy. Still my spiritual mentor of sorts, and he's been on my show. So I met him, and he introduced himself to me and handed me his card, and it said, something about learn to meditate. And I was like, huh, interesting. Because I had already been at that point practicing various types of meditation for probably 15 years. It's been 20 years all in that I've been meditating. And he said, no, I have a very specific practice that really works. The way he framed it was like, no, it's a thing you learn and then you go do. It's not like, a guided meditation or hemi-sync tapes. Or, I mean, I've done everything I can to just try and calm my ass down. But it was all very peaceful. I even went to India and learned how to meditate there and stuff. But it sounded like much more of a concrete practice. So I went and learned with Jeff. It takes 4 days. Okay. Yeah, it takes 4 days, and you're indoctrinated into this ancient lineage, this tradition, which comes from the same original tradition as TM, as Transcendental Meditation. They sort of split off into Vedic and TM, as I understand it. I'm not an expert, but my understanding is that there were sort of 2 groups or schools that went off in different directions, and TM became more of kind of a business organization, a corporation, as it were, and you're indoctrinated in and authorized to teach TM, and there's payment involved and things that. In Vedic,
I didn't know that.
There is a tradition in the same way that you can't just call yourself a Vedic meditation teacher. You have to do a certain number of hours and days and go to India, and you have to, be qualified to consider yourself a teacher, but there's not a central control corporation or anything around Vedic. Vedic is just a bunch of independent teachers that all adhere to the traditions of that model. Okay, interesting. But the technique, from what I understand, is basically the same thing because it comes from the same fountainhead. Okay. Some freaking cave in the Himalayas, however long ago, right? So the way the mantra meditation goes like this: if I was your teacher and I taught you, at the end of I think it's the 3rd day, there's a little puja. There's a kind of a Hindu ceremony with flowers, and you bring your teacher a piece of fruit and all this kind of stuff. Traditional Indian, guru stuff. Yeah. And then I don't know where your teacher gets your mantra. I think they sort of intuit it. Maybe there's a set of mantras, and then they give you this essentially a meaningless word or a sound, and they whisper it in your ear. And then the tradition is that you don't share your mantra with other people. There's a number of reasons why, which I don't fully understand, but I like traditions and principles, so I'm pretty good at sticking to them. So let's just say my mantra is Om, which would be not one, but words that kind of sound like that. So what you do is you just sit down and you set one intention, and that intention is that all I care about doing is just very gently, with as little amount of effort as possible, repeating that mantra silently in the recesses of my mind. So you imagine your mantra as a tiny transistor radio in the dugout of Giant Stadium, and you're in the very bleacher seats. It's just a very faint, just faint whisper with very little effort, because you don't want to engage your nervous system and and your mind.
So by saying it, you would be doing that? You'd be engaging?
So inside, I mean, so if I was like, that's more like Kundalini yoga. Yeah. This is a very yin practice. It's a very passive practice. So you want to be as un-alpha as possible in this particular meditative practice. So very gently, softly. And then all you really use your will for is when you leave the mantra, because you'll start thinking, the parking ticket, feed the cat, did the girl text me back, whatever it is, right? I mean, I would never think that. No. Whatever your mind is running off to. The idea is that the only effort you put in is to bring yourself gently back to the mantra. And this is very similar to Vipassana meditation, where you're watching the breath. And there's, a lot of the traditions have the same idea. It's that you're using very little effort and discipline to keep your mind engaged. And the way I think about the mantra is it sort of gives your mind something to do, like giving a dog a chew toy. And then the mind just sort of goes to sleep. It's just over here going,
Interesting.
And then your consciousness, because it's not being so embroiled in the processes of the mind, starts to have this freedom to roam and move around in the conscious realm. In other words, to transcend this particular physical reality.
Are you breathing in a certain way too?
No effort to do anything. And in this practice, you're actually instructed to lean back into a chair rather than trying to sit in lotus or something like that. This is about being comfortable, even slouching a little bit, just getting really relaxed in your seat. And then the only thing you do is you start repeating that mantra to yourself very softly and faintly.
So what if someone wants to do this and they don't have a teacher to tell them what their mantra is?
Well, this is tricky, because I meditate with people and I know they're not having the same experience if they haven't been through the training, because there's something, I don't know, man, if it's a placebo, but there is something special about having your mantra. And
so is it your mantra forever?
Yeah.
Oh, for your whole life?
Yeah, it's chosen for you. And
so
mine just is this one little sound, and it's just this sweet little sound similar to Om,
So you can't say what it is.
No.
Because you're not supposed to, right? So
But here's what you could do. You could just give another a thoughtful word that has some spiritual meaning, like Soham or Sat Nam or Om, or any of those sort of a Hindu word, or a word like that.
Like a Sanskrit, kind of a word?
Not a Hindu, a Sanskrit. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, something like that. In a lot of different.
And something that doesn't have meaning behind it, so you don't think about what it means.
That's why you're not going to sit there and be like, Mary Sue, Joe.
Because then you'd be thinking about Mary Sue's, and Joe's,
Yeah, Chevrolet. It's like, no. Yeah. So, and that's why the Vedic mantras, they aren't an actual word. It's more of a sound.
Can someone take a class online to do it, or go somewhere locally? Do they have to go to India?
No, you don't have to go to India to learn. There are Vedic teachers all over the world. And I think you can just probably Google wherever you live. And if you live in any major city, there'll be one there.
Okay.
I interviewed a woman named Emily Fletcher, who is a Vedic meditation student and teacher. And she's on twice. Her episode actually comes out on January 2nd.
Oh, cool.
The second one. She started a business in New York City, which is also online, called Ziva Meditation.
Okay.
And while she would be breaking tradition to teach, very strict code of Vedic meditation, she does teach a really similar method, a mantra-based method, which is just kind of more of a commercialized, easy access version that she can teach ethically without kind of breaking the traditions of the Vedic meditation. And so that's what I always recommend to people, because it's the closest thing to going and getting your own Vedic teacher, as I understand it. But yeah, dude, it's one of those things.
Do you notice a difference if you don't do it in a day? If you miss one, miss two, do you notice a difference?
I've gone through so many. I mean, it's been maybe 5 years I've been doing this particular type of meditation, after I said 15 of just an amalgam of different things I picked up. Here's the thing. When you learn how to meditate in this way, where you have a definite practice and there's a definite period of time and a structure to it and a discipline to it, it does different things to different people. For me, I had already been really working on myself and doing a lot of spiritual work and introspection and writing and reading and studying and having gurus and mentors and all kinds of stuff. So I thought, well, now I'm going to take my meditation to the next level, and I'm going to become super peaceful and chill and serene, because I'm going to like get more spiritual. And when I learned Vedic meditation, I was so irritable and pissed off for probably like a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah. And my girlfriend at the time was like, I thought you were Mr. Spiritual now. Like, you learn how to meditate and you're like a bigger dick than you've ever been. You know?
I'm so glad you're saying this.
Yeah. And so I went to my teacher. I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I'm not getting more chill. I'm actually more irritable and impatient.
Yeah.
I used to be more chill. And he's like, no, that's what happens. You're releasing trauma and stresses from this lifetime and prior lifetimes, and
through what, the meditation, or through your stress, or through
the meditation. The meditation creates a space that allows things that need to be healed to come to the surface.
Interesting. Okay.
So for one person, they might just become very serene and peaceful and kind, and just, it totally chills them out. For other people, depending on what stage of development one's spirit is karmically, it might just bring up all sorts of nastiness that needs to be worked out and sort of dispersed.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was for me. And my teacher just like, stick with it. Because I wanted to stop. I'm like,
why? This is not helping me in any way. What I used to
do is I would read spiritual texts, really high vibe spiritual texts in the morning, and I would pray, and I would contemplate, a contemplative sort of prayer / meditation. But it wasn't a real discipline. It was just, like I said, an amalgam of different teachings that I just made up. And I would feel really great. And I would notice, back to your question, on the days that I would skip that, I mean, I was a mess. So I knew, okay, I can't leave the house or engage with email or start interacting with people until I've done my morning routine, which made me very chill and peaceful, and it would set the tone for my day. When I started Vedic, after a while, I started noticing, God, I'm not chill anymore at all. And my morning reading and that contemplative practice kind of faded away, because there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah, you can't do everything.
Spending 20 minutes, I don't have 4 hours in the morning to do all my stuff. And he said, just stick with it, stick with it. And so I did. And now I don't have that experience at all. Now I'm super blissed out a lot of the time as a result of that meditation, because I've stuck with it for a few years now.
So how long did it take you to break through? That year and a half.
For me,
after the year and a half.
I think it started, I mean, there was a lot of changes that was going on in my life, you know, relationships ending, moving, things like that. So, you know, there was environmental and psychological influence as well.
Right.
But I would say probably after, like, you know, a year to a year and a half, then that started to fade out a bit. And then I started to derive more of the kind of the intended result, or what one would think. Wow, if someone meditates twice a day for 20 minutes, they're going to be super happy and chill and not be upset by anything. You know?
Yeah,
so I think I've gotten a lot closer to that as a result. But now the way it is just, I mean, I just crave meditating, and I would do it more and probably for longer if I could.
Yeah.
It's just, I get too spaced out. I mean, I really go into like another dimension when I meditate. Even meditating coming over here, I was like, Joe, we got to stop and get a coffee, because I'm too chill to be interviewed right now. Like, I'll be really boring, because I'm just in this very meditative, still, calm place, which is great when you're by yourself,
right? But
not so much when you want to have an engaging and exciting conversation. So you got to really manage the energy with meditation.
Yeah, meditation for me, it feels like certain times, and it's weird because you put these labels and these judgments on it too. So sometimes it's like you're getting the benefit without, you may feel like you've had the worst, you know, day meditating ever, but you're still gaining benefit, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But then there's times when you have it where it just feels like, for me, it just feels like a returning to source or coming home, where all of this life that we are living, where we're interacting with other people, we're bumping into each other, we're exchanging ideas with each other, all these things are happening, and we're doing all this stuff, interacting with other people. But then when you meditate, it's like that's where home is. And then when you're not meditating, it's like that's all the fake reality. You know what I mean?
That's great, dude. Yeah.
It feels like that to me.
Totally.
It just feels so
That's well said. Yeah.
Like I'm just home now.
Yeah.
And I like to be home, and I don't judge myself if I for 5 minutes start thinking about surfing or something else. It's like, okay, just come back. And then you just feel like, I don't know, for me, on the good days, I feel really like I'm at home.
Yeah.
And then on the other days, you know, it doesn't feel like anything happened, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. But it does feel like that returning to source kind of a thing for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But one of the things that it hasn't been, I need to get into a better practice of it, or more, or I want to get into a more disciplined practice of it, because I've noticed it changes, and then I start seeing changes in my daily life, my reactions to things, and my, you know, schedules change and plans change and all these things happen. But then if I don't meditate, I notice I start like going back into the reactive mode.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So I haven't been steady with it enough to see how it's all, you know, I'll meditate for, you know, 20, 30 days in a row, and then I'll stop for a few days and I'll forget, and I'll go back on for 4 or 5, and I'll forget for 2. Mm-hmm. And that's all fine. That's all fine, because it's all designed to help us become better and more authentic human beings. But I think it would be really cool to do an experiment where you do it every day for 6 months, or at least, or, you know, like maybe 6 months, and just see what kind of impact that has on your neurology and your biology and your nervous system.
Yeah.
Well, you've done it, so it's like,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think that you pointed out that's really key, is that meditation is working whether or not I think it's working or not.
Yeah.
Because who's the one judging my meditation as productive, unproductive, calm, racing mind? What does that even mean? None of that. The only meaning it has is the meaning that I attach to it.
Right.
So if I have a perception that because I was more actively thinking during a meditation, it was a quote unquote bad one or a good one.
Why do we do that?
I can't frame it that way. And that's why I like Vedic meditation, because they're like, oh, you had a really busy meditation. That's what they call it. That's great. I'm like, what? I thought my mind is supposed to be quiet. Yeah. And the way my teacher said is like, yeah, you ever tried to get your heart to stop beating? Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's never going to stop.
It's what the mind does. And so once it was framed in a way like that for me, and I stopped judging a meditation as being good or bad based on how much thought was going on, you know, it's funny, but I find most of my meditations are very thought-free, and it's really easy for me to dip into that transcendental place now, because I'm not trying and I'm not judging it one way or the other. If I sit down to meditate and my mind's very busy and needs to work some shit out that's stuck in my subconscious or whatever, then I just let it do that. Yeah. And you know what benefit I've really found too, Justin, is creativity is really, really enhanced by meditation. And I think what's happening is a lot of those little micro or even macro stresses are being dissipated and released, and those are the things that stifle the creative flow, the flow of ideas that are more than just reactionary ideas. They're ideas, hey, wow, I have a vision for where I could be in 5 years, instead of like, God, I can't believe that guy cut me off today, or whatever. Because
something we all deal with.
Those are off-gassing. Just, you know, you're getting rid of those little petty base nature annoyances and grievances and things like that, and even some deeper embedded traumas and things that need to be forgiven, old transgressions and injuries and things like that are also released, and that leaves that space for creativity. Where I have
do you mean
a new idea for a podcast or a partnership or whatever? You know?
Do you mean like, do the creative ideas for you come when you're meditating, or you're meaning outside of meditation?
Both, but a lot in.
Yeah.
These days, a lot in the middle of meditation.
That's the hard part, because then you're like, okay,
I have to let it go.
You got to let it go.
Yeah, you got to let it go. And
if it's worthy, it will come back. Exactly. Right? You got to just let it go.
Well, this is
which is a teaching in and of itself.
Have you done a float tank?
I have. I love that.
Yeah. So same thing happens when I go float, especially if I do a bunch of nootropics before. I'll just have these explosions of creativity. You literally can't write it down or record it. You'd have to get out, dry off.
It's not going to happen.
And then I'd probably forget the brilliant idea that I thought I had in there anyway. So floating's helped me a lot with my meditation.
Dude, and when you meditate, your floats are better.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Because you're trained. It's like practice for the big game, you know?
Yeah, it is very much so. And I think that's the difference between when I've brought people to float that are meditators and aren't. Almost 100% of the time, the ones that aren't meditators are either neutral about it or negative about the experience.
Okay, right.
They're just like, what? That was so boring. I'm all wet, like gross. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, I don't know. It's whatever. I'm just neutral, impartial. But meditators are like,
I loved it.
I had a buddy of mine that learned how to meditate a year ago. I took him floating, and he's British too. He's not like a big aquatic type hippie guy, you know.
Right.
He's not like not naked at the hot springs with me all the time. It's a little more traditional. And I was like, I don't know, you know, just have an open mind. And he freaking loves it now. He's texting me every week. You want to go float? You want to go float?
Wow. Do you go to Crash's place, or do you go to Float Lab?
I go to Float Lab in Westwood from time to time. But I also go to a place called Just Float in Pasadena. Okay. It's a bit of a hike, but it's a really nice facility. And they have, you can get an appointment there anytime. Okay. It's the world's largest float center. I think they have like 13, 14 tanks or something. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's really sterile and great, and they're really great people. So I like both. Both of them let you do 2 hours too. That's kind of my numbers, 2 hours. An hour's too fast.
Hours not nearly fast enough. We do like 90 minutes, but I love to do 2 hours because it takes
90 minutes is good.
90 minutes is good, but it's usually like, you know how you kind of go in and out of consciousness when you're in there, and sometimes when, you know, it might if you're having a stressful day, you haven't meditated in a while or whatever, maybe you've eaten some food too close to the time you're floating. It might take you a good 30 minutes to get into a zone where you're not itching anymore and you're not, you know what I mean? But then if it's only an hour, it's like, then you don't have those times where you can float in and out of consciousness.
When it's an hour, I'm waiting for them to come knock on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, like, where are they coming? Are they coming? I find at the 2 hour mark, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm checking my watch, you know, figuratively speaking. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And then the music turns on, so nice, you know, or they knock on the wall or whatever. But 2 hours is good. I mean, I've talked to guys like Crash and the guys over at Just Float, and they're like, oh, I've done 8 hours, 9 hours.
I've talked to people like that too. It's amazing.
Done shrooms or
psychedelics
ayahuasca and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys are nuts, dude. I
would be open to doing that,
stone cold sober, and I'm like, 2 hours, I'm good. Yeah.
You know what's something I've been doing lately?
Does Kate like it?
She loves it.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, she loves it. Yeah. By the way, she wanted to be here, but she's pregnant. Did you? I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah. So this is our first kid. So
perfect.
It's only been 13 years. So
wow, that's
so we're
cool.
stoked. But so she's kind of has these ups and down days, you know.
Of course,
so
of course. We'll
today,
meet her another time.
Yeah, totally. But like something I've been doing lately for a while is, have you done Qigong? Have you done anything like that?
No, but I've been hearing you talk about it on this show for a long time.
It's worth getting a program to where you can follow along and do it. So the one that I do is like, it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. And there's something about like a moving meditation that allows you to get into working with the energy and grounding yourself. And, I don't know. There's something about envisioning the light that you're working with, and it's like a practice. It's like a Tai Chi or martial art. You're using your body, and there's something just different about it than floating. Something different about it than regular meditation. They're all three equal, I think. They're all three amazing, but Qigong has been really cool, dude. You should get into it.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, oddly enough, it's one thing I've never really messed with. So I think in the Wim Hof training, there's a couple little Qigong moves that you use, kind of energy moves with the breathing to heat up your body.
Have you done that training?
I've done 3 of them, yeah.
Wow.
But they don't say like, yeah, this is Qigong. But I think just from having a broad understanding of it, that there's a little bit of that. But I've never actually, you know, done the real deal.
Have you done his online course, or did you do
I did 3
in-person?
in-person courses. Yeah, he held 2, not he, but his people, you know, his trainees or whatever, held 2 of them at Storey Fitness, my brother's gym up in LA. And then I did one at my friend Matt's house out in Malibu. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I love breath work. I was doing it on the way down here today. Joe is driving and I'm over there
doing all your breath.
I mix it up. I have different techniques I do. I've done some shamanic breathing and a lot of different Kriyas and Kundalini yoga include some pretty intense breath. I like the breath that gets you high. Like that's what I'm after because I'm a sober guy, but I love natural highs.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, when I did the Wim Hof training, their training has evolved from what I understand, but when I did it, this is going back over the past couple of years, they had this one called the Dmt breath, and they don't call it that anymore, but you have your own endogenous DMT, you know, just like cannabinoids and things like that, right? You have your own opiate system, so you have this ability to really trip balls within your own chemistry. And so the DMT breath was one of his techniques, and you do it laying down. It's for a number of minutes. I think it's like 12 minutes or something, this certain breathing.
Did he develop this?
Yeah. Or he picked it up from, who knows where Wim Hof got his stuff. And that's the thing, he doesn't really say. It's, it's proprietary. But the DMT breath is legit. I mean, you start shaking and you pass out and, you see stars. Oh yeah, you trip balls. Yeah, it's really fun. So that was like, that hooked me into the breath work. Yeah. Because I'd been doing Kundalini yoga and I had a few peak experiences like that, depending on the class, mostly like in the more intensive workshops. But when I did the Wim Hof training, I was like, oh, this is Kundalini yoga, man. I get this. I know what this is like. But he refined it and also did some studies about what does what and determined that one particular sequence was the DMT breath. And that one's really fun. So yeah, I do that in, when someone else is driving in the car, or just especially if I feel a bit, if I feel any sense of brain fog or fatigue, if I'm just feeling like low energy, I'll bust out some breath work and just like, whoa, okay.
So what is the motivation for you in doing what you're doing for your lifestyle? Like, aside from the people that you're reaching on your podcast, but as a person as a practitioner in your own life, doing these types of things like biohacking and different spiritual meditation practices, and what's the goal? Like, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to ultimately live a long time? Do you want to have what years you do have on earth the most impact or the most energy? Do you want both? Like, what's the reason behind living the kind of life you're living? Because it is pretty extreme, and so is for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've never, for some reason, been interested in the longevity aspect of it, like the whole anti-aging movement. I just believe in nature, and I believe in whatever it is that created me, call it God, for short. I don't want to stay here any longer than I'm supposed to stay here karmically. Like, as long as I'm supposed to embody this meat suit, I'm cool. If that ends tomorrow, so be it. If it ends when I'm 150 years old because medicine has advanced by then and you can shoot up stem cells or whatever, cool, I'm on board. But I'm not really into cheating Father Time. Okay. What I'm interested in is being free of dis-ease, pain, and discomfort, and having my mind, body, and spirit as optimal as they can be
during your living years.
Yeah, so for the time that I'm here, I can have the greatest impact in a positive sense, and contribute as much as I can of my highest, best self.
So you'd be cool with that ending in 10 years?
I mean, I don't want it to. I'm not an idiot, I mean, trust me, I don't ever want to die from the egoic standpoint. I want to live forever because I'm attached to all the worldly possessions, including this body and all my relationships and emotional attachments and all of that. So no, like on a conscious level, I don't want to go anywhere. Yeah. I'm just saying, if I zoom out a bit in a more broad, realistic perspective, who am I to say how long I'm supposed to be here? There's another source of intelligence that's got all that taken care of that I have no control over anyway. So I've never been like, I want to live till I'm 300. Do I want to be in this body? I could trade this one in and be reincarnated in a crispy new body,
That's true.
Have new parents and a whole new experience, according to kind of the Vedic worldview, in terms of karma and reincarnation. But I think I just am someone, Justin, who's suffered a lot in my life, dude. I had a shitty childhood. I was a drug addict. I really suffered a lot physically. I was really sick, really malnourished. Mentally, I was ill, spiritually void. I spent my early life just not a happy camper. And so once I started to uncover some of these missing pieces and put some of the puzzle together and find, oh, wow, you can actually be happy and really feel good a lot of the time, I just got this obsession
without addiction, without pain, without
side
all this
effects.
Stuff.
The stuff that I do for the most part is there's no negative repercussions to myself or other people, with the exception of when it gets too much on the obsessive side. It can tend to be
what the practices on the obsession
it can tend
side,
to be kind of consciously or otherwise, a block to intimacy. Like in a relationship, I've experienced that, where I'm off like geeking out on this self-centered, quantified self biohacking stuff, and my girlfriend's like,
what the heck? I just want to watch a movie.
Yeah, how about you like talk to me sometime? You know what I mean? So I think with everything, there's a bit of a balance. Right now, I'm single, so I don't have any sort of obligation to anyone or anything other than my career and my friends and family. So I can kind of spend a lot of time doing that, but I would obviously have to make concessions if I had, a wife, a kid, was building a family of my own. I mean, I can't get away with living this self-centered lifestyle that I have now.
Right.
But while I have the time available, I'm optimizing and building myself and working on myself from the inside out, so that when I do end up in a family or in friendships or in work situations, that I can bring my best and highest self and not be suffering from various forms of neuroses or mental illness, or
bring all that to the table.
Yeah, or just a weak immune system, getting sick all the time, just feeling like shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and I noticed, dude, even all the stuff that I'm doing, I mean, I feel pretty good most of the time, but still things come up that are just 47-year-old dude things. I have to wear these stupid glasses now, or I can see you, but you're a little bit blurry until I put my glasses on. I'm like,
and you're good.
God damn it.
I know, right? You don't want to have that.
I don't believe in that limitation. So I'm going to work to try to overcome that, because I know that my eyes have the capacity to refocus on something far away. They've done it before. They could do it again. So I really believe in the power of one's soul, spirit, and body to have the ability to regenerate and heal. So that's kind of
what part of it as well.
My motive is, but then I also have to take it with a grain of salt and know that all of this is kind of just a game at the end of the day. Anyway, like you're not really going to cheat time. You're going to leave when you're supposed to leave. And I could be doing all this and still get sick somehow, or get hit by a bus or whatever. But my idea is I want to just live life to the fullest while I'm here for this short period of time.
And the cool thing too is that when you're doing these practices, they may seem neurotic to some people or a bit obsessive, but you and I both enjoy doing them. So it's not as if I'm painstakingly going through this discipline that I don't like. I love rebounding. I love Qigong and meditation. It's fun.
Yeah.
So why not?
That's so funny, because I went through this period of self-awareness where I was like, oh my God, I turned my obsession for drugs and being an addict in a negative sense into being obsessed with all this stuff. And like, oh my God, I have to stop being this way. And you
thought that back then?
Like, I mean, just in the past few years, and just there have been some negative consequences, and that it, when you're doing things that you can't share with other people, like a lot of the biohacking stuff is not like a group activity. It cuts you off from certain levels of intimacy, or
for sure,
friendships even. But then I felt guilty until I finally started just having the realization, is what you just said, is like, this is like my hobby. I mean, this is what I'm interested in. Some people watch football and they're like stoked to watch some guy run around some fake grass with a freaking pigskin. Like, I don't care about that. Nothing wrong with that. That just, I would rather have my toenails ripped off than like watch a ball game.
Yeah.
That's fun to some people. For me, what's fun is like playing with my new laser set and trying to heal a bone spur without having to get surgery and seeing if I can do it myself.
I know, it's kind of fun.
I mean, call me a nerd. I think that's dope. You have some physical problem that comes up and you get some gadget or practice and you fix it. Like, I actually just really enjoy doing it. So I've had to work through condemning myself and judging myself for being so obsessive.
Yeah.
But that was really coming from other people, like telling me, Luke, you shouldn't be that way. Like, you're too into all this stuff. You're obsessed. It's like, okay, so what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
This is what I like doing.
Yeah.
I could be into freaking
anything else,
fixing up muscle cars or like whatever. It's just a hobby. It's something I enjoy spending my time doing. It just so happens that my hobby is also one that can really help other people who are so interested.
Totally.
And so then creating a podcast and doing videos and coming on shows like yours, where there's a platform to share my passion, which is like optimizing my human experience. So it's like a passion and a hobby, is something I just enjoy, but it's not for everyone. A lot of people don't want to mess with all this.
It's a lot of stuff.
Like somebody just left me some snarky comment on a DM on Instagram today, because I reposted one of my listeners' posts, and she was like, oh, I learned this from Luke Storey.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
It was about like stacking your biohacks. So she's in the bath and doing the essential oils and, whatever her you know, she was maximizing like a half an hour period of time doing 5 amazing things of self-care.
I love that.
And someone DM'd me and said something kind of mean and was just like, oh, this reminds me of, you know, said, this is lame, or it reminds me of how Ram Dass said, oh, maybe if I keep at it, I'll be perfect someday. And it was like a snarky, judgmental comment about how it was unspiritual to do what this girl was doing. And I was like, actually, the snarky comment is the unspiritual move here, not this girl taking a lovely bath and really honoring her body and her soul and taking care of herself and being inspired by my show. I was like,
so what did you do? Did you write back?
You know, my ego was like, oh, really, bitch? I'll show you, da, da, da. Yeah. And then I said, no, I just delete the comment and don't engage. I don't engage with negativity.
Yeah, that's how I am as well.
It's a spiritual discipline, man. I mean, I could have said 10 things that would have made her feel like shit and made her apologize and
totally
passively or not passively, aggressively attacked her in whatever which way. And it's just, obviously that person is in so much pain that they're going to take time out of their day to make fun of someone else who's celebrating their life and doing something really good for themselves. The woman who was taking the bath and sharing about her great experience is going to be a better mom, a better entrepreneur,
healthier, more energy,
a better president of the bank, a better dentist, whatever she's out there doing.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's like, as a result of that, like, how can you find something negative in that?
It's weird, isn't it? And to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But
it's so
trust
bizarre.
me, the impulse was there. Like, really, bitch? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go there? You know, but who is that? Then now I'm trying to punish someone from the pain that she caused my ego.
Whenever I see comments like that, I just delete them. I just delete them and I ban the person. If I can if it's YouTube, I'll ban them. YouTube's just the worst for people. It's like the people are so negative.
I'm working on hiring someone right now to kind of manage all my content and stuff. And one of their roles is going to be just going through and just deleting all forms of just negativity. Yeah, I mean, just easy. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's not to say you can't think critically or have a conversation or have a healthy debate. Yeah. But when it's just like, there's that line of toxicity. When it's that, I'm just not interested.
You ever notice that when the people that produce content are never the ones that say bad things about other people's content?
Right.
I noticed that because like I'll go on to other people and I'll never see a negative comment. Or if I do see a negative comment somewhere, I'll go over to that person's profile or I'll look at their YouTube, channel or whatever it is. Yeah. And I'll look and there'll just be nothing. There'll be no videos uploaded.
Right.
And it's like, part of me just wants to say to that person, as soon as you upload a video and you start producing content, then I'll take your comments seriously. But I just delete them and I ban their stuff. Because it's just, I can't do that because if we've got so many videos and there's so many comments,
well,
you can't go through.
you have you've been around for a long, long time and have a huge following and a huge reach. I'm still relatively under the radar, so I've actually not been trolled much at all, thankfully, knock on wood.
But who cares really, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
at the end of the day.
But it is something, at some point I'll probably have to contend with in a more meaningful way. I do notice I get a little annoyed. I mean, that little thing today, for a second I considered like, oh really? Well, here's what I have to say back.
And you start thinking of all the ways
but then I'm caught in that web. Now I've dropped my level of consciousness down to the level of someone who's suffering and is a lot of pain. Do I want to drop down and suffer in pain with them? Hell no. But
lower your creativity and energy to that level.
Like
you don't want to do that.
1 ounce of energy. So it's like, I'll just bless that person and really pray that they get alleviated of the pain that's motivating them to spread the pain, because hurt people, and that's the thing. So to really view people like that from not a pious place of compassion, like, oh, that little person down there is suffering, I'm better than that, because that's another ego trip, but just a real heartfelt, like, man, I know what it's like to be in so much pain that you want to share that pain, because I've done that a lot in my life, especially as a kid. I mean, I was really mean to kids because kids were mean to me.
And you just pass it on.
Yeah, exactly. So, but when I interviewed David Wolf, he said something so meaningful to me in terms of trolls, because he's very controversial and he says a lot of out there. He goes into the UFOs and flat earth and vaccines, and I mean, very fringe. I don't think vaccines are that fringe at this point.
I think he's awesome for that.
Too.
For that.
He's got balls, man. I mean, he goes out on a limb, says whatever he wants to say. So as a result, because he doesn't edit himself and just puts out whatever his beliefs are at the moment, he gets trolled a lot. And so just really mean stuff people say about him too. And so, and I've never heard him say anything mean about anyone ever in all these years that I've been following.
I've heard him say one mean thing, not mean, but one kind of disparaging thing. And that was regarding, oh gosh, what's the third, I'm drawing a blank. The guy, he was on our show, like when we first started, the fruit guy. He was like 30 bananas a day, doctor. He's been doing fruit anyway.
Fruitarian?
Yeah, he's been doing.
Really?
So there was a time when he was sort of disparaging to him a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But outside of that, I've never heard, like you said, I've never heard anything.
The only thing I've ever heard him say negative was talking about the company Vitamix, and he was like resentful because they would never work with them. So he's like, screw Vitamix. I went off and made my own blender or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, dude, how do you deal with it? I mean, you get trolled so hard. People are so mean. And he very earnestly said this to me, and I've talked about this on my show a bunch of times because it was a really profound lesson, like so many of my guests' perspectives have been for me. He said, very sincerely, he just stopped for a second and went, you know what, Luke, man, I just, when people behave like that, I just really feel so much compassion for them because they must be suffering so bad inside, you know, to really take the time to reach out and spend the energy to hurt other people. You have to be really hurting inside.
Yeah.
Because, man, I just feel so much love and compassion for them. And it felt sincere when he said that.
Wow.
He wasn't like, oh, it doesn't bother me because I'm so far above them. I'm spiritual. So I just pray for those little people that are at my feet trying to, you know, kick my legs out from under me. No, he was very sincere. He's like, God, can you imagine like how much pain they're in? I'm like, holy crap. I really never thought about it in that perspective to that degree.
It's a lot of pain.
I was like, wow, yeah. Because how do I know that? Because I've felt that pain where I want to hurt other people, man. I used to drive around LA in so much pain all the time that if somebody like would cut me off, or even if cars wanted to just go faster than me, I would speed up and like box them into the corner and like do really weird passive aggressive, just mean stuff to just aggravate people on purpose. I mean, I was trying to hurt people psychically.
Wow.
Because I was in so much pain. This is like 3 weeks ago. No, I'm just kidding.
This is on the way here.
I was going back, you know, 20 over 20 years ago, really.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to suffer where your mind is just eating you alive and you're just full of hate and anger and rage and fear and hostility and judgment and condemnation. And it's so painful to live within that prison of that level of consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
That, God, if you can just leak some of that out on another person, it feels really good in the short term, you know? So yeah, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, I've been on both sides of that. So I think that's something that I really need to hold on to, because I'm really a good promoter and I love marketing and social media, and I want to get my message and the people that I, you know, bring out to the world out there in a really big way. So I'm sure it's coming, and I'm going to have to make sure that I'm spiritually fit and I don't take it personally or be ignorant enough to drop down to that level and engage and encourage more attacks or to try to retaliate or anything like that. Yeah. I think your move is the best. Just not even, because I've had the idea too where I just, I'll reply, but I'll just be really nice and kind and loving and be like, hey, thank you for your perspective. That's awesome. And just totally like blow off the fact, like kind of, it's like kind of passive aggressive, you know, just like not even acknowledge their toxicity, but just be super, super nice just to, as a tool to make them look even worse, you know, because other people can see like there's a contrast between their jerkiness and what a douche they're being and like how cool I responded, and then I come out as the big hero. Right. Just weird.
But then that's ego as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, just weird head games. So I like the idea of like, I'm just totally not engaging. Just delete, block. You're done. Yeah. Only good vibes here. And if it's anything less than good vibes, then go.
Yeah, there's so many. Else. Yeah, there's so much other content. There's a great. Have you seen the David Wolf video? He was interviewed on. I forgot what the guy's name is, but is London Real?
Oh yeah, Brian Rose.
Brian Rose. Yeah, have you seen that one? It's like a 3-hour interview.
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's really good.
I want to watch that. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting pairing because Brian Rose doesn't typically have people that are as fringe as David Wolf on.
It was good.
And you know who he just had on is David Icke.
Brian Rose did?
Yeah, dude. What? David Icke did like a 2-hour special.
Oh my! I'm gonna have to watch that.
I haven't seen it yet. I saw an excerpt from it, but I was like, oh man, that was really cool. Because that's pretty mainstream for David Icke. He doesn't really get a platform like that normally. He's like super fringe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's We've got to make sure we're still on live with Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
I think, a lot of times what people have, people that lash out at other people online, I think that we're living lives that are so insulated. I think, we're able to like control the temperature of our house. We're able to go to the grocery store. We don't have to work hard for anything. Everything comes to us. We can buy on Amazon and all this stuff where we're controlling every aspect of our lives, and it's so simple. But our DNA is meant for hard work, and it's meant for challenge. And so when you don't have any way of letting the lid off the pot and allowing some of that steam to come off of you, like, in your own anger, like this isn't going to cure anything. But if you don't have regular instances of your life where you're able to off gas a little bit, then it's going to come out in driving, if you're not. That's why I think, like, for me, working out and physical activity where you're under the pressure of, if I drop this weight, I'm dropping it on my neck and I'm going to die, And so I'm in that moment pushing that weight, and it's the most physically taxing thing that I'm doing. And I cannot break my concentration for a second. Otherwise I could die because there's no spotter here, something like that. So when you're putting yourself under that kind of stress, I think it helps with being able to just let go a little bit. I agree. Say, I just went to the gym, or I did yoga, or I did like a martial arts class, and I just got, like, they wiped the mat with me. And so when you're able to go through those instances where you're humbled and you go through physical times like that, I think it really helps. I
agree. And also in terms of the domestication and us just being at 68 degrees 24/7 and not having any exposure to any, neurological, biological stressors or challenges. I'm totally on board with that, in terms of ice baths and cryo and saunas and like extremes of temperature. And I make myself, it doesn't get too cold in Southern California, but I literally will be going outside and think I should put on a sweatshirt and go, no, let me just deal with being uncomfortable. Or sitting in, like a Kundalini yoga workshop that's 4 hours and you're doing 31 minutes with your hands up in the air, doing some crazy breathing exercise and chanting, and you want to quit so bad. Your arms hurt so bad. Wow. Your shoulders hurt so bad. And you're building that grit and that discipline.
There's something about that, right?
Oh, for sure. Because then that's how I withstand the troll, and I see the temptation, like, I'll show them, and I go, no.
I just made it through this over here.
Yeah, I can handle that. And just that adaptability, I like the adaptogenic herbs I always think of in that way, is building that resilience and getting back to our resilient nature. Because you become puffy and soft and unflexible at the same time. You get like rigid and sensitive to your environment and negative stimuli and stressors and things like that. So I think a lot of the stuff that people like us are into does build your resilience on a physical and on an even deeper level.
It's funny because if you were experiencing life in nature, living in the forest or something like that, where you're spending all day, gathering wood and hunting on the weekends, and you're spending all day, managing your herbs and, doing all these things that it takes to live out there in the woods. If you were doing all that, you wouldn't have any time for like negativity or comments on YouTube, right? Even if you had internet, you still wouldn't have time for that because your life is so gnarly. It's so intense that I think that we need to bring some of that back into our lives a little bit, like the cold bath, that kind of stuff. And
I take a cold shower every morning. I've been doing it for years and years, and I love when it turns winter in LA because the water gets really cold.
Yeah, it actually does.
The water's cold right now, dude. I mean, when I first jump in, I take a deep breath and I kind of hold it. And I'm like, oh God, this sucks. Yeah. And then it's gone within a few seconds. I'm totally fine. Yeah. But that first getting in there, but that's how I start my day. As I start my day, like, Luke, you're tough. You're not a doughboy. You're not a soy boy. Like, you got this,
Yeah.
Like,
it's just water bouncing off your skin. Yeah.
And it really is that mind over matter and that attitude. It's like, no, my mind's telling me this hurts. It doesn't hurt. It's actually a neutral experience until I attach a meaning to it. And I name it something. Oh, this sucks. No, it's fine. It's some water. Yeah. I'm cold. It's just a sensation. Yeah. Well, then when I don't get the job that I wanted, or the check didn't come, or the relationship has to end, or somebody dies, or, a real thing happens that's not just cold water, then I've already built up the muscle of, resilience. And now I'm able to handle those things that come at me in life without falling apart because I've been too cozy and sitting in that
it's too bad.
Climate controlled domestic.
It feels good though, doesn't it? To just not just live in 68 degrees and have stuff come to your door.
I actually do the same thing at night. I don't turn on my heat at all. And usually right now at this time of year, it's around 50 degrees in my apartment. Yeah. And it's quite cold. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, this sucks. Yeah. Then I put on my bathrobe, turn the heat on, and get on my red light device and take a sauna. And, I do my thing, and it's like I forget all about it. But I do make an effort to kind of push myself in a number of different ways.
So what are some of the things that you do, like the couple things that you do on a physical level? Because we talked about your meditation practice and stuff. So like on a physical level, what are some of the things, your favorite things you do weekly, like now?
Oh my God, dude, this year has been so many discoveries in the past year. I think the main needle mover for me in terms of, I have different categories. There's just freestyle stuff that's no technology, like breathing exercises. There's no supplement. There's nothing to buy. It's just free. You're just using, your body and air and light and things like that. Naked sunbathing, going in spring water, all that kind of stuff. But the thing that's been blowing my mind is a device called the Amp Coil. I did an episode on it a couple months ago.
Yeah, I've seen that you've been working with that.
Yeah, the Amp Coil is a number of different technologies combined into one device.
So it's not just a PEMF?
No.
Oh, I thought it was just a PEMF.
No, that's the thing. The main application, actually, there's two main applications of the Amp Coil. One is for consciousness enhancement. Okay. So for meditation, spiritual ascension, and that comes from the biofeedback and the frequencies and the energetics. So it's actually a biofeedback and PMF combined.
So how does it do the biofeedback? Are you connecting to somewhere on your body that does that?
No, it comes through the coil. Let me see if I can break it down.
Because it looks like a donut for those that are listening,
and then I'll break it down so the listeners can. Oftentimes when I do recordings, I bring it and we do a session. I ran out of the house today and I forgot about it, but I wanted to bring it and show you and show Daniel. And I had all this other gear and it.
Do you sell them on your site?
I link out to them. Yeah. On my site, I don't technically sell anything. I just have links and pictures and categories of the things that I like and use. And I do have a link to the Amp Coil.
Okay. Do they have an affiliate program that people?
They do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm like a brand ambassador for them.
I want to check that out. And then I'm sure I'll love it.
I can connect you with them. They're great people. I mean, if you're ever up in LA or next time I come down, you can do a session. That's what it took for me. I just had to get on this thing. I did about a 2-hour session. And I'll tell you how it works, but it's really the thing I'm most excited about. And I'll go back to the mechanics of it. But my first experience was I heard about this device that combined a number of different technologies like Rife technology, PMF, a lot of things, biofeedback, bioresonance, vibration, sound, things that I've used in different devices over the years. And then I did a little research and found out, well, these guys had played with all of those different technologies, these alternative therapies over the years. And then the owner of the company had late stage, just chronic Lyme disease for like 10 years.
I remember that's how they're sort of marketing it.
And so he got some relief from Rife. He got some relief from ozone, from this, from that, PMF, all these different things. He would have symptomatic temporary relief from the symptoms of Lyme, eventually worked with engineers, put together this device, used it on himself, and was alleviated from the symptoms of Lyme completely. Wow. After the course of a few months of using this device. So that piqued my interest because my mom has Lyme disease and I'm like always keen on like a silver bullet for that. And take some herbs and shit. Like who has time for that? Right. She doesn't even try those interventions anymore because nothing really substantially has an impact, Right. So I'm always have my ears perked up. But then I happened to be going through at the time when I found out about it, and I found someone that had one in LA. I was going through a breakup, and I was a freaking nervous wreck. I mean, I was in a bad place, dude. I was in so much pain, just gnarly amount of turmoil. Wow. And just full of anxiety and sadness and just grief. And I was just a basket case. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go try this Amp Coil thing because I knew it had applications for, you could call it like relaxation and inducing different brain wave states, theta. I mean, you can get on an Amp Coil and just theta out and just go into like a float tank vibe in about 10 minutes. I mean, it does.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's insane. So I went over to this woman, Jera's house in the valley, and I said, I don't know what this thing does, but my intuition said, I need to meet you and I need to meet this technology. And that's how I do everything, is I really just follow my heart. And I was like, Amp Coil, Amp Coil, Amp Coil. It kept coming to me from different sources. And so I said, I don't know what you can run on this thing right now, but I'll tell you what's going on with me. I'm having like serious emotional issues. I can't sleep. I'm having, digestive problems from the stress on my body, from these emotional issues that I'm experiencing.
Right.
And she's like, I know what to do. And so she ran what are called a couple journeys. They call it a journey, which is like a period of time with a sequence of frequencies that run on you. And I laid back on the couch. I put this coil, this magnetic, modified Tesla coil, put it on my chest. And next thing you know, 2 hours go by and I'm like off in Neverland, like the deepest meditation. Kind of woke up, came to, got my composure, walked out to the car, and it was like I had no problems. The problem was still there, but my experience of the problem had been radically altered.
Wow.
And so that was my first subjective experience of like, felt this way, did this thing, and on the other side of that felt very different. There was a vast improvement in my whole state of consciousness in the moment. So then I was hooked, and I was like, I got to get one of these things. And then so I started a relationship with the company, and I'm now, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of a brand ambassador, and I share it with people, and I had them on my show, and I do demos where I go do a speaking event, and I turn people onto the technology, and it's been just really, really cool. And I feel so fortunate that they've wanted to work with me. They love my show and the way that I approach all of this stuff, because I'm really into the consciousness and spiritual stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm also a super biohacker geek too. I'm really equally
you got both sides
enthusiastic. So here's how the Amp Coil works. You have 3 different pieces of equipment. Okay, one is a 200 watt amplifier in one of those Pelican road cases.
Okay,
it's a really high powered amp. In fact, you could hook it up to, a bass guitar or a PA system and like blow the windows out. I mean, it's a really powerful amp.
Interesting.
So there's an amplifier, and that produces sounds that are sent from the amplifier to the modified Tesla coil, which is producing a PEMF field, a pulsed electromagnetic field in a toroidal shape, which is sort of like a big circular fountain. If you could see the magnetic field, that's what it would look like a big elongated donut that's fountaining over with frequency.
Like a 3-dimensional sort of toroidal donut.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's the amplification, and then the delivery system is the magnetic field, which penetrates the blood-brain barrier, penetrates your hollow organs, your bones. It goes all the way through you. In fact, it radiates out 4 feet and transmits whatever frequencies you put into the coil into your body. So that's the PMF piece, right, is the magnetic field. However, you also have a tablet, like just a little Android tablet or whatever, like an iPad.
It comes with this?
Yeah, it comes with it. And then there's their app, which is called the Better Guide, is loaded into the tablet when you get the device. Within the Better Guide is 50 years worth of frequency medicine frequencies programmed into the app. So, for example, there's a frequency for Candida. Everything living resonates at a certain frequency and has a vibration. So Candida has a frequency, right? They're microbes. They're alive.
They're vibrating.
They vibrate. They resonate at a frequency at whatever hertz. Say it's 840 or whatever, just a random number, right? So through the different frequency technologies over the years, those have all been logged and recorded by practitioners and users, and those are all in different databases. And so the people in Amp Coil, some of the engineers on the programming side, know the frequencies and also create proprietary frequencies that resonate at the level of different metals or microbes, bacteria, parasites, etc.
Viruses, everything else.
Yeah, viruses, and send that signal, that frequency, into your body to either, say, upregulate or boost organs or neurotransmitters, hormones, to get better utilization of minerals, micronutrients, etc.
So it's similar to Rife.
Yeah, very, very similar. So there's like balancing and toning frequencies for you could call positive attributes in your body.
Now, is this happening at the same time you're doing the PEMF side?
So here's the way it works. So you have the frequency. Let's say you have Candida, right? You have the frequency of Candida programmed into the app. Then you run that journey into the amplifier. So out of the headphone jack of the tablet goes the sounds. The sounds go into the amp, and then the amp sends those specific frequencies and sequences of frequencies into the magnet.
Coil.
The missing link with Rife and all that stuff is the delivery system isn't powerful enough to penetrate all the way through your body into your cells. So at a cellular level, you get temporary relief because there's, say, hidden microbes that are in those, not calcification, what do they call that? The little sacs they make? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I forget the
biofilms.
Name. Biofilms, that's right.
Biofilms.
Right.
So I just got some labs done myself, a stool test, and I have a bunch of gnarly stuff going on, dude.
Really?
Yeah, and in the test, it's called GI maps, and in the test it says whether or not that particular microbe makes biofilms, and all the ones I have make biofilms.
No way.
Which tells me they're really hard to get out. So you can take a bucket full of freaking herbs.
It won't touch biofilms. They won't even know they're there.
Or drink Pau de Arco tea till the cows come home. That stuff is not getting where it needs to go, which is in those little nooks and crannies of your hollow organs and in between organs and all the weird places these things hide. So the Amp Coil has a bank of frequencies that are tried and true. The frequencies go into the amplifier, then the amplifier goes into the magnet, and that's the missing link that Aaron, the inventor, for all intents and purposes, discovered, was that the reason he would get relief from biofeedback frequency medicine like Rife would be, it would get to some of the Lyme, but then there'd be Lyme hidden beyond the blood-brain barrier, for example, that it wouldn't reach. And so he'd get temporary relief of symptoms, but it was never totally eliminated and neutralized because the delivery system of those frequencies wasn't strong enough to penetrate the whole body.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so those little things could hide out, and they'd go into remission. The Lyme would die down, you'd start feeling good, and then you'd have a relapse. And it would
How long is this session? Does it vary?
Yeah, they're called journeys, and they're different albums or sequences of, I guess you could think of it as songs, or even of different tones and frequencies, right?
I have a Rife machine, so it's similar to that because you have these they're all different times.
Yeah, exactly.
You run them,
the difference, there's a few differences to my understanding, but one of the things with the Amp Coil is much of it is like done for you. There's less training involved. You kind of just like, press,
press
it's like press go and work on whatever you want to work on. But it's similar in that it's sending frequencies into the body like Rife would.
So would you, on some of yours, do you do session of like a journey of 20 minutes, half hour?
The times vary. It depends on whether you're doing custom journeys, which now I'm getting into because now I have labs.
Okay. So now you can map the lab with the actual device. So now I have a report
from someone that looked at my Dookie and said, okay, you have 2 forms of E. coli I have right now. I have some other crazy bacteria. I have 2 different types of parasites. I was like, oh my God.
I'm supposed to be healthy.
Yeah, I can see the writing right now, positive in red, positive. I was like, what the hell? I'm like the healthiest guy ever. But I got a very scrutinizing lab work done.
This is GI maps, right?
Yeah, it's called Diagnostic Solutions is the company.
Okay.
And, Evan Brand.
From Paleo Hacks, right?
Yeah, not just paleo.
Oh, not just paleo. Okay.
Evan Brand recommended this test because I'd done another one and it came back pretty clean. He's like, no. Is, dude, the test you did is weak sauce. You got to go to do the GI maps. It's going to find things.
So is it gimaps.com or what's the website?
Diagnosticsolutions.com, and then GI Maps, I believe, is the name of this particular stool test. You can call them. You order a kit. They mail it to you. You get a little French fry tray. You poop in it, put it in a vial, FedEx it back to them, and depending on your insurance and stuff like that, you either pay out of pocket or your insurance covers it.
Is it just a couple $100 or something like that?
It's probably, I think my insurance paid, but it's probably under $500.
Okay.
Yeah, if you paid out of pocket. But then you see, I like labs because then you see the reality of it. Yeah. I might talk to you and tell you my symptoms. You're like, let me see your tongue. Oh, you definitely Candida. This thing came back no Candida. I thought for sure I had that.
Wow.
From all the kombucha, if nothing else.
No yeast.
And it was none of that. I was like, oh my God, it's even worse than that. I have 2 parasites. I have E. coli, a couple other weird things.
So now you can map the Amp Coil to that.
Exactly.
So that's the benefit.
So what I've been doing is I've been running 17-minute programs that just go after E. coli. So like an opera singer breaks a crystal glass by hitting a certain note. Well, E. coli also has a certain note and a frequency. And when you send a corresponding frequency that powerfully into the body, what's happening is they're breaking up the cell wall of the E. coli and rendering them inert.
Right.
That's what's happening. But you have to hit it repeatedly. You can't just do it one time, because you do it one time, you just piss them off.
How much do these amp coils go for?
They're $7,500.
$7,500.
Yeah,
okay.
Which sounds like a lot, but here's the thing. A, they have a payment plan. B, other PMF technology that doesn't even have the frequency can run between $20,000, $50,000. Like that stuff gets really up there.
It does, yeah.
Most of the other PMF devices are more expensive, but they're more used for acute injuries also.
Yeah, the high-powered ones are great
like
for
what
that.
they use on race horses and stuff. It fixes their knee in 3 days, like crazy stuff.
I have the low-level one that I use. I can use that daily. So that's what's kind of like,
cool.
That's cool for that. So there's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of the or combining that with sort of the frequency.
That's what when I heard
really
that,
cool.
I was like, because I like both. I also have a little Earth Pulse PMF machine. Have you seen the Earth Pulse?
I have, yeah.
So the Amp Coil is basically like a giant, high-powered Earth Pulse in a sense. In the Earth Pulse, there's different frequencies.
It's small, yeah.
Yeah, in the little device. And then it's got a tiny little digital amplifier, sends those frequencies into your two magnetic coils, and then you put those on different parts of your body to induce sleep or healing or whatever.
On your mattress too, right?
Yeah. It's a very similar concept. The difference being that you have a much more powerful amplifier. I mean, the Amp Coil amp compared to the Earth Pulse,
it's
like 200, Earth Pulses or something. Yeah. It's a huge amp. It's the size of like a full-size carry-on.
How long have you had it?
About 6 months.
Wow, you're just having some good experiences.
Oh yeah, dude, it's next level, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of its potential, because I use it a lot for meditation and just relaxation and chakra balancing and rejuvenation, and just there's ones that you run on your brain waves to just relax, or ones that fire up your neurotransmitters and release a bunch of dopamine. And
so you can use it during your meditation too.
Oh yeah, I use it every day. But then when I got my labs back, now I'm being very targeted, and I'm working on that E. coli. I'm going to find the frequencies to the parasites that I have, and I'm going to run all those programs according to the Amp Coil protocol, which is directed by their customer service.
And then
I'm going to retest.
That's what I was going to say.
And I'm going to see if this is, how much of this is real. Because to me, I believe in it, and I know the owners. They're very cool people. I really believe they're integrous. I don't sense any kind of snake oiling going on with them. But I also like to see labs. I love before and after quantification to really be able to tell. Now the trick there is, how can I resist not taking herbs and doing other stuff when you find out you got bad bugs in you?
Yeah, it's good.
Hard just to be like, oh, cool, I'm going to isolate my treatment and not do any of the other stuff that would help me with this issue. I'll just do the Amp Coil, but I'm going to keep my assessment and treatment as isolated as I can, so that I can quantify the fact of whether or not the Amp Coil really.
So you're not doing any herbs that are going to kill parasites, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything hardcore. I'm going to give it just a month or so of just going all Amp Coil. Then I'm going to retest.
Yeah, when are you going to test in about a month from now? Okay.
I mean, I can do all the protocols in the Amp Coil in a month easy.
Okay.
Based on the amount of bugs I have, because you only do about 7 to 10 times on any given pathogen in order to eliminate it from your body.
Interesting. Do you do any podcasts where it's just you and you do a recap of your guests and it's just you talking?
No, it's something I want to do.
You should do that.
I want to do it. I can't pop my cherry on it, dude.
Really?
I've done one solo show. My first one is called Return of the Jedi, and that's where I tell my life story.
Okay.
And it was really fun and liberating to do that, and people really liked that first episode because I have a pretty crazy life story.
And you should do it.
I've had a lot of contrast, but and then I've released a couple talks. When I do a talk, I always bring my recorder and I record myself doing a speech.
Okay, so you put that in your podcast.
And I put that out as a podcast.
Yeah,
so I'm doing one on New Year's Eve actually in a few days.
Oh, cool.
That was a talk I did in Aspen, Colorado, which was like a mindfulness meditation, spiritual talk, like nothing about health at all.
Yeah.
And it was like such a good one because I had the flu really bad.
Oh, no.
So I couldn't intellectualize or be nervous or get caught in my head. It was just heartfelt, real stuff. And so when I went to record my intro for that, I actually did what you're saying, and I did a little recap of 2017 and the things I've learned and what I'm looking forward to in 2018. So that was my second kind of solo show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm scared to get on the mic and just start talking. It's weird. I have this barrier to entry there, which is baffling because, as you can see, I love to talk.
Yeah, you should do it.
When it's just me in my little office, it's just weird.
Yeah, but you know, it's crazy because, you know, people like us, like we're always testing on ourselves. So we're always learning and growing. We're always reading books and stuff like that. And but we're also talking to people that are on the cutting edge. So there's so much, you know, I feel like for our listeners, they love when we do like solo shows, or it's just me or me and Kate, where we can kind of disseminate and kind of make sense of what all we've been exposed to.
You guys do that. That's right.
Yeah.
I've listened to some of your shows like that.
Yeah, you would be awesome at that.
That's funny. Well, thanks for encouraging me.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the guys that get the big downloads, and, you know, for anyone listening, if you want to know, one of the reasons why certain podcasts are really big, if you look at the shows that do little mini episodes, they'll have like, so maybe their show comes out on Wednesday, a full length interview, but then they'll have a show on Monday that's like Monday Motivation, and it's like 7 minutes long, and then I have like Fantastic Fridays, and it's like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, I know Lewis Howes does that.
Yeah, and there's him and a couple other guys.
5 Minute Friday.
Yeah, dude, what they did is they're gaming the download system, because even a 5-minute episode counts as a download as much as a 2-hour episode. So when you look at someone who does their formatting like that, and they're like, oh, we have 50 million downloads. Well, guess what? You know, whatever percentage of those 50 million, we're just you getting on a mic and going, hey guys, have a great day today. Believe in yourself. Bye. That's a download. So
I love that.
Yeah, so they game the system, and I'm not putting them down. I'm like, I don't
listen to those ones because
me either.
I don't like that.
So I didn't want to do that because it feels like a cheat just to get more downloads, and I don't.
But if you did an hour-long, dude, you could talk for an hour.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, if I committed to doing those bonus shows, there's no way I could even talk for as little as 5 or 7 minutes.
Yeah,
you get me on a mic even by myself. I mean, I can go on for hours.
Yeah,
for worse.
You know what's crazy is I'll listen to, like, I don't listen to the 5 Minute Fridays. I like Lewis Howes podcast. I listen to that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm usually always listening when I'm either like in the sauna or I'm working out or I'm driving. So I don't really like want to go like after 5 minutes if I'm on a drive. I don't want to be looking at my, you know, I want something that's going to be at least a half hour.
Me too.
But London Real does that. I'm subscribed to their podcast, and they do like a 1 minute. I always just skip over it. I'm not going to listen for 1 minute.
Yeah.
You know, but I think they're doing what you're doing.
They game the system.
Yeah. See, that's not.
Hey, you know, more power to them, man. I mean, look at
I'm not into that.
Those shows are, I don't know if they're intending to do that. That's just my theory.
Yeah.
Because I understand the way that downloads work. To my understanding, every download of each episode counts as a download. So I just got 1 million downloads. Or I guess,
dude, congrats, man.
Hopefully by right now, as we speak, I got to check.
After only 115 shows or something. That's amazing.
Yeah. But man, imagine how many I'd have if I put out 3 shows a week and a couple of them were 5 minutes, you know, so it's tempting, but I have a hard time finding time to just put out one show like this. As I said, this month of December, doing 2 a week has been like, oh my God, just when, you know, one comes out on Tuesday, I'm like, oh shit, I have another one coming out on Friday.
Yeah.
It's been really hard to keep up with the artwork, the intros, keeping track of running the ads. And like,
I used to do four a week.
Dude.
And there were some of them, I think all of them at one point were live for a while.
Right.
I liked it, but it's a massive, people don't understand how
many are you doing a week now?
I'm only doing one.
Okay.
I'm only doing one because there's so much that, as you know, goes into it. Like,
and are you doing others? What else do you do to make a living?
This is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're launching a Extreme Health Academy here pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Dude.
So we're real excited. And I wanted to ask you too about your thing you have going on, but yeah, we're launching that. We're partnering with Dr. Bergman actually.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome,
so that'd be cool.
Man. I love John.
He's cool, isn't he?
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to go do his whole protocol.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, I went and got his analysis and the x-rays and all that maybe 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And
he was on your show, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. We talked about fibromyalgia and all kinds of stuff. It was fantastic.
He's passionate.
Recorded it at his office.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's actually in my vision book for 2018. I actually cut out their logo. I printed it, cut it out, and it's in my book.
Oh, like to go do the treatments. Yeah.
To go down there once a week and do the 3 adjustments a day. Like, I really believe he can help me with this chronic back issue that I've had for so long.
Yeah.
But it was, I think it was like $3,000 or something. And it's, I got to take a full day to drive to Orange County once a week.
And you have to allow for a certain amount of time in between adjustments.
Yeah, so you got to stay down there all day.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go work at a coffee shop, or God forbid, go to Huntington Beach,
Yeah, that would suck.
Definitely maybe more of a spring, summer trip. But yeah, I love his man. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. So I was on your website, and I think this is a new thing that I'm not sure, where you're taking applications for people to work with you for like a lifestyle design. Is that a new project you have going, or is you've had that for a while?
I didn't sell anything for probably the first 6 to 8 months. I was just like, hey, I'm funding this show. I'm spending my time and energy doing it because I love to do it. But obviously, it's a means to an end. There's a bigger goal than just like spending a couple $1,000s a month to produce a free show for everyone to listen to. I'm a good guy. I'm not that good of a guy. So I laid out in a somewhat crude way the vision when I started, and there was different phases to the vision. Phase 1 is produce really high quality content and do it with consistency and regularity, and do not ever miss a show. So I did that for a few months. That was phase 1, just content. See if people respond. People responded overwhelmingly positively, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. People like my perspective, what I have to say.
People like this.
Now, how do I turn this into a business? So phase 2 was, part of phase 1 was put out the show and start building affiliate relationships. Somebody buys some 4 Sigmatic mushrooms or an Amp Coil or whatever, and I get a piece of commission. So I wanted to build that in from the beginning, but that's not a needle mover at my level of traffic. I think you have to have some pretty substantial traffic for those affiliate sales to become meaningful income. But I liked that idea. Like, wow, I do the research. I find these great brands. I vet them. I research them. If I believe in them, then I do the work for people, and I share them, and the company benefits. I benefit from my commission.
And the user benefits.
Yeah, and then the user benefits because they don't buy a bunch of bullshit. They don't have to worry about checking for heavy metals and all the weird stuff that I'll do. So that was kind of all phase 1. Then phase 2 was like, well, I in order for this to fly, I've got to monetize it. And what do I really enjoy doing that I still have time for? And that is, I love working with people one-on-one and just transforming their life. And it sounds like kind of a bold claim, but that's why I have an application process on my site. You can't just like book time to hang out with me and ask questions. There's a really hard, I don't get that many applications because it's really hardcore. It probably takes a good half an hour to sit down and fill out my application. I
know, I was looking at it today.
It's very in-depth because I don't want to work with people unless they fit my profile and meet my criteria. Which is that they have something pretty serious that they want to work on a psycho-spiritual, mental, or even physical level. And that they have enough willingness / desperation to fill out that application, be thoughtful about it, be thorough about it, because I only have a limited amount of time to work with someone on such an intimate level. So I know that I won't be able to do that for very long. It's already kind of becoming almost close, well, I would say obsolete, but it's becoming difficult to fulfill the clients that I do have. Just because the program is set up to be really intimate and interactive. So, and
it's a 90-day program, right?
Yeah, it's a 90-day program. And what I did, because I was trying to I don't want to give them a bunch of canned videos or something. Like, that'll be an online course, which is another kind of element of a business model that I totally respect. I take all kinds of online courses. I'm happy to pay the $1,000. It's all fine. But it wasn't part of my phase. The first phase is more of a tactile, like working with someone directly. So what I did was allotted a certain number of calls, Skype video calls per month, phone calls per week, and then I use an app called Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And so Voxer, I don't use personally. I only use it with clients, and that gives my clients, I want to say 24/7. I think with them I say 12/5. 12 hours a day during the week, and you can use the bat phone on the weekends if you're freaking out. But it's a way for them to be like, okay, cool. So my meditation went great today, but I had this come up. Or, you know what? I tried that supplement, but it did this to me. Like, they can ask questions, and without us having to engage in a really time-consuming conversation, I can really keep them accountable using Voxer. And so we'll walkie-talkie back and forth. In fact, when I get out of here, I know I have a message waiting from one of my clients who's back in New York because we have a time change. No way. And he just got done with his family, and he's processing that experience. And so we're working he's a functional medicine doctor. He doesn't need me to tell him to not eat inflammatory foods.
Right.
You know, he's already on board. He knows how to do his labs. I mean, he doesn't need much assistance or intervention physically. But when I started working with him, for example, when I had him do the application, I mean, I just had his number. I was like, I get this guy. We got on a free complimentary 15-minute call and then a free 60-minute call. And I do that before I even take anyone's payment, you know? So I really want to make sure that it's a good fit, because I'm going to be locked into a relationship with them for 3 months.
For 3 months, yeah.
It's got to be someone that I like and someone that I really, truly believe that I can help.
Wants to change, yeah.
And I was like, what's your main complaint? He said, dude, it was something to the effect of, I often feel not seriously suicidal, but like my life has no purpose and meaning to the point where I could become suicidal. I was like, damn.
Wow. And this is a functional medicine doctor.
Yeah, this is a real guy. I mean, a functioning guy is just dissatisfied because he's still plugged into ego. He's still plugged into mind. He needs just a spiritual boost and someone with an outside perspective with a little more experience to be able to help him reframe his experience and really just to parlay spiritual truths and principles to him in a way that's relatable, understandable, and applicable.
Wow.
So we got into, manifestation and visualizing and learning about people pleasing and standing up for yourself and just all sorts of different, from a psychological and spiritual standpoint, got him on a meditation practice. And now, I have to kind of, he'll be like, I don't know, man, I'm like, dude, you've changed so much. We're coming up on 3 months now.
Wow.
And we had some delays for the holidays, so I added on extra time. If I miss a week or something, then we just added on to the period. So I think it ends in mid-January. But that to me is something that is really fun, is to work with someone.
Do you like that?
Oh yeah, dude. Cause I know at the end of that 3 months, they're going to be like, wait, what just happened? I'm a different person.
Wow.
And I'm really, really good at it. I just am. I'm not being prideful. I didn't give myself the ability, so I take no credit for it. It's just, some people are a great opera singer and they're just born that way.
Yeah.
I'm born with a high degree of empathy and intuition.
Wow.
I can really feel where someone is and how I can best help them. And also I can feel if there's someone that I should bother trying to help or not. And if they're not, then I can recommend therapists, or if they're having physical problems, I recommend a functional medicine doctor or an expert in whatever field they're struggling with. And I'll up-level them if I'm unable to help them. But if I feel like I can help them and I dive in, shit is going to change in their life really fast.
Wow.
Kind of like a Tony Robbins kind of approach, in a sense, for lack of a better, I don't even know that much about him. I'm fairly new to his work. But from what I know, he kind of does that. Like, he's able to get in someone's psyche and really like shake things up.
Yeah, change their state.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the way that I like to work with people. But that said, I also see, well, that's not going to fit into phase 3, because my podcast now has 1 million listeners after, a little over a year. My goal is to have 1 million listeners a month, not a year. Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. That would
if
be
I
amazing.
have my way. So am I going to be able to spend, however many hours, 10 hours a week on the phone with clients or something? Like, I just won't be able to do that. So it's,
well, you could have some select clients that pay more.
I guess that's true. I feel like what I charge now, which the 90-day program is $5,000, which, I figured it out, the math, it comes out to however much an hour that ends up being. It's a really good deal for the amount of attention and dedication and commitment that they're getting. So it's hard for me to imagine being able to scale that in any way. And I think
unless you do like an online course or something.
Yeah. So I think, in the next phase that I have laid out is more public speaking. I mean, I'd like to be one of the main speakers at the Bulletproof Conference on Longevity Now. And I really believe I can hold my own in that kind of space, just based on the feedback that I get and the fact that I've been talking a lot publicly for a long time.
That's cool.
So my ability to reach more people but still have that same impact, that's what I'm always looking for, is how can I scale my service and also be fairly compensated and live the kind of lifestyle that I want to live.
Yeah.
There's been, speaking of like lessons for 2017, one of my biggest lessons has been in feeling deserving of my success and also reframing the way I look at money, because I have this like guilt complex about money.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Because I am a spiritually centered person. I mean, I really am. I'm not like a fake spiritual person. I'm really into it.
Yeah.
And so I've had these weird preconceived misconceptions, really, that if you live in a nice house, you're a bad person. Or if you charge for your services, you're a bad person. You should be doing volunteer work and be
giving everything away for free.
You know what I'm saying? Like that thing.
Yeah.
Like, where did I get these ideas? Like, the people that I respect are super wealthy and doing great. Like John Gray, who's been on my show.
Yeah.
That guy's loaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins. I mean, all these big personal development guys, they're all about making money. They have no shame, and they help thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world.
Right.
People are never the same once they come in contact with them.
Yeah.
So could you say that they're in it for the money? No, because they could retire, but they don't. Why? Because they still want to serve, and they have.
And they can't just give everything away for free.
Yeah, exactly. Because they value their wisdom and their experience. And that is worth something monetarily and otherwise. It's an exchange of energy.
Right.
So I'm just like cracking my head open. Luke, you deserve to be rich.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, there's nothing wrong with having a nice home. And
no, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
My expectations aren't even that high. Like, I want just a nice house that I can have like EMF proofed.
Yeah, you can biohack it all you want.
Samina bed. I mean, to me, it's more about having a house that's like healthy.
Yeah.
And than it is, you know, I don't need a freaking 5-bedroom mansion in the south of France or something. That'd be great, but I mean, I think my expectations are fairly realistic. But even those, the lower, you know, the low self-esteem side of me is like, oh, you can never have that, or that's what people with an education get, or people that are smarter than you, or if you have that, then you won't be real anymore. Yeah. You know, you'll be delegitimized if you're financially successful.
These are all just barriers that are in our psyche that have been given to us by other people that aren't ours, it's
you know?
Wacky.
Yeah, it's weird stuff. So in terms of, you know, back to offering services and things like that, I'm really working on that from a self-limiting standpoint of, you know, having no qualms about selling my coaching program or an online course, or telling people to go to my store and spend money there so I can produce a good podcast.
Yeah.
It's like,
it all takes money.
Yeah. So it's a lesson for me right now that I'm working with, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you think of money as something that's, you know, completely physical and egoic, but it really is a spiritual thing.
Right.
You know, and understanding how it works, and understanding how to use it and where to use it and who you're supporting and what you're buying and all that stuff. I mean, it's just, and the lack of it or abundance, it's all a spiritual thing.
That's the funny thing. Like, if I look at my lifestyle and how I spend my time, the more money I have, I'll actually help people more, because what my hobbies are and my interests and my values and my passions all involve serving other people. Yeah. So honestly, like, if I had a private jet, I would help people more. Sounds crazy. I would end up helping people more because I would be able to travel to places faster and see more people and dart around in the way I want to dart around. Or like Joe was saying on the way down, he's like, pretty soon you'll have an Uber for helicopters, you know, for rich people. And I'm like, I'm going to be that guy. I could have come down here today and did 5 podcasts instead of driving for 6 hours, you know.
I know, buy the helicopter, buy the Uber.
You know, so it's like, I'm like, wow, it's actually true. I'm not someone who just sit there and hoard. I don't care about money. I care about freedom and mobility. Money to me means freedom of spending my time how I want to spend it with whom I want to spend it. Right. And to be able to do a bit of travel and do it in a way that's less disturbing to my health and things like that. Like, I'll take fewer trips so that I can buy a first class ticket. I mean, I really don't fly coach because I just can't stand it. I'd rather take 1 trip a year and go in style and take 5 trips and sit in coach and be all uncomfortable and have germs in my face and stuff, you know?
You know, one of the things that's cool too, I think, with having an abundance mindset and being able to experience that, is that you get to be able to document and record your use of the way you're living. And that helps people. So if you never had that Amp Coil, you wouldn't have been able to share that story. And that story might pique the interest of someone who's listening to this that has Lyme disease and might look into it. And that could give them some incredible relief. And so the fact that you have that, you had to buy it, and it's $7,000-8,000, and that's an example of how abundance helps people. You know? You can definitely help people that way by documenting how you're using these tools. For sure. You know?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And then also, you know, if one has integrity, also telling people, if someone's like, yo, I don't have the money, should I put this on my credit card? Like, no.
Yeah, no.
Have another intervention that's more within your budget at the moment too. That's part of it. It's not always the right time for someone. I've even interviewed people to do my coaching program, and they're like, oh, I could borrow the money. Or I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you got the money right now, we'll do it. Otherwise, just save up, get your act together, and when it's not going to burden you and create more psychological stress to have to pay for something. Like, no, here's 5 things you can do for free. Like, dude, take the Wim Hof breathing thing. You might not even need me.
Yeah, I know.
Just get oxygen in your freaking brain and watch what happens, you know?
People have emailed in to us as well, because on our sauna there's a application where they could, pay it off over time. And, I never recommend that for people ever.
Right.
Because I'm just like, if you don't have the money for it, you shouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that, it could work for certain people, but paying stuff off, the last thing you want is another bill,
Yeah.
So
I just had to do that with a tooth implant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't use debt. I've spent my whole life and really my whole adult life in credit card debt, and I'm still paying it off. And I finally got the spiritual lesson. It's like a biblical lesson, I think. You don't buy stuff if you don't have the money.
Right.
But I really needed this tooth that's been missing for like 10 years or more.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have, it was like $4,000. I didn't have the cash, and it was just like, I need to take care of this. And so I went and I financed it. I think I have no interest for a year.
Yeah.
So
certain things strategically.
But I'm not buying, a freaking flat screen TV at Best Buy because I get all hyped up. I used to do that.
Yeah.
Like how I used to, it's so crazy looking back, but how I used to perceive net worth was the available credit that I had on my various credit cards. Like I looked at that as if I had that money.
Wow.
So if I have $40,000 in available credit, I literally look at it like I have a $40 savings account or $40,000 saving account.
Wow.
And so I'd go spend all that money and then be like, what happened? Now I'm paying interest and all that. I just didn't get it. And I was very ill-equipped. And my poor dad, who's always been really good with money, has made a lot of it and been very successful. The minute I started spending stuff on credit cards, he'd be like, wait, what?
Why are you doing that?
Dude, you don't buy something until you have the money. If you want something and you can't afford it, you save up and then you buy it when you have the money. I was just like, I just did not get that.
Oh, man.
Whole, adolescence, early adult life. It was a spiritual lesson I needed to learn. So
you had to go through that.
Yeah, I really, really am not into, debt.
Yeah, I hear you.
Psychically so draining.
It's so draining and so damaging to your nervous system and your spiritual growth and all of that stuff.
Dude,
it just puts a stress on you.
I'm working through mine now, and it's like I have to remember, Luke, you are not your debt. It's an arbitrary phantom number somewhere. It doesn't actually exist in actual reality.
Right.
But in this matrix reality, it is real. And the matrix element of it bothers me.
Yeah.
I see those statements. I'm like, I just paid $200 interest this month. I pay hundreds of dollars a month in interest at different points. I'm like, for what? Because I was a sucker who got duped by these lenders. I can't blame them.
No, they're out for it too.
They're offering a service. It's sort of like a gun. It's not good or bad. It's what you do with the gun. Well, lines of credit from the bank cartels is similar. Of course it's meant to sort of snare you and entrap you, but it's up to your dumb ass if you fall for it.
Yeah.
You get that application in the mail, you should rip it up instead of going, oh, I could get $20,000 in credit that I can go spend on stuff that I can't afford.
And that's not good, man.
Yeah.
So bad for our health too.
Yeah. So I'm learning that.
Well, people can find you at lukestorey.com, right? That's your main site.
Storey, yeah. And then my podcast is called The Lifestylist.
The Lifestylist.
Yeah, and I'm most active on Instagram in terms of social media. I do have a couple of Facebook groups and pages, but Instagram is my favorite social media.
Yeah,
because it's visual, it's immediate, it doesn't require writing a lot. I don't like writing.
Yeah,
and I really like Instagram Live, like we're doing right now as we speak, and the Instagram stories because they disappear so fast. So I feel those are like ways I can kind of share my experiences and perspectives and just day-to-day wacky stuff without being really held accountable to it.
Because they go away.
Embarrassed by it. So I'll do some ridiculous stuff on Instagram, and people really like it. Like the more out there and kind of loony I am, the people seem to respond more, and I feel free to do that because I know it's not going to live online forever.
It's not going to be on YouTube forever.
I do things every day on Instagram. I'm like mortified. I'm like, I can't believe I just made myself look so ridiculous, but whatever, I'll be gone tomorrow. No one will remember. Especially with the deluge of, social media and
so much data. Yeah.
It's like, who could ever remember? Oh, I remember when Luke looked like an idiot that one day because he did X, Y, and Z. disappears. So yeah, I love Instagram.
So you're on there a lot, right? You post every day, or you do stories every day?
I do. Yeah. I think probably to a fault, but, you know, I'm my own marketing team, so anything that I want to get out into the world is sort of my responsibility, and I find that Instagram's a great way to get it out.
It is, yeah.
And just also really the connections I make with people too. I mean, so many listeners of my show reach out to me on Instagram, and then I have all these direct messages, and people ask questions, and then I go, oh shit. And out of that, I made a Facebook group for my listeners, and now I direct everyone over there. And so I find that the more I use social media to put myself out there, the more of a sense of community I can build.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Then, you know, people recommend guests, or they'll pitch me to be on a show, or on my Facebook group now, it's really cool because someone will ask me a question on there. Hey, what should I get, this vitamin or that one or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
And then another listener will answer and be like, oh, don't you remember on episode 20, Luke said this, this, and this?
No way, that's
or here's
cool.
this cool thing I found, and then they'll post it. And yeah, it's neat. So I think I have to be careful about the obsessive, addictive nature of social media, which I fall prey to a lot.
Yeah, it's easy.
But it is a powerful tool. I mean, I get so much benefit.
It's amazing,
and I'm
yeah.
able to help a lot of people, so.
Yeah, creating content, doing all that good stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool.
dude.
And connections with other people.
Just the way I live my life, I put an Instagram story like, what was I doing the other day? I mean, there's everything I do is good for you, you know? Oh, I know. I got this little spiked pad that's an acupressure point that you step on. I got it at this essential oil store called Sage on Abbot Kinney in Venice. Okay. And I walked in the store. I was like, what's that thing? He's like, oh, look at the acupuncture chart, meridians, whatever shit. And I was like, okay. I stepped on that thing. I was like, oh, this feels so good. It's like that good pain, that endorphin releasing pain. And I bought one. It was $40, and of course went home on Instagram, and all these people started DMing me, what is that thing? Where do you get it? So I probably, you know, who knows how I just helped that brand sell more of those things. I didn't get anything out of it, unfortunately, yet, because I didn't have a partnership with them.
Yeah.
But I helped the brand by building awareness, and a lot of people might really be helped by my silly little post. If nothing else, they were entertained by like, what is this weirdo doing? Why would you step on a spike mat while you brush your teeth? I'm like, well, why passively sit there and brush your teeth and waste time cleaning your teeth when you could be invigorating your whole nervous system? Totally. You know, by hitting those pressure points on your feet while you're doing the other thing.
It's like stacking, like you're talking about.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because otherwise you would spend all day taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, who has time for that? I'm trying to live my life.
Yeah.
So anyway, I find social media really valuable for that, because there's things that I just do in passing that are just part of the day-to-day self-care regimen that other people are like, oh my God, that's genius. How do I do that? Well, there you go. Here's the link.
Are you Luke Storey? Because I follow you on Instagram, and I've been into your stories. I've been into your stories and Matt Blackburn's stories a lot.
Oh,
and also,
that's great, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. He does cool stuff. You're Luke Storey just on Instagram, right?
Storey, yeah.
Yeah,
Luke
same.
Storey, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've been following you and Matt. I love when you guys post new stories. It's cool. I can't get it on there because it's not set up like that. It doesn't work that well. But I have an application on my computer, so
that's cool.
Yeah, it works just like the phone.
So you're still holding out with no cell phone?
No cell phone.
After all these years, dude. I remember hearing you on your show. It must have been 10 years ago, or how long have you been doing your show?
Well, not that long. 2012.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think I've been listening since dude, I've heard hundreds of episodes of your show. Yeah, and I remember you years ago talking about not having a cell phone and thinking, that's
only a matter of time.
It's kind of an, what do they call it? Idealistic? What's the word? Yeah, I mean, I'm like, that's cute now, Justin. Wait 2 years, you're going to go nuts because everyone has one and you don't, but you've held out. I'm like, oh my God, bro.
I think at some point I'll probably get one, but this works well because, it's an iPod Touch. There's no phone on it, which is what I like. Yeah. And I can use it at home and take pictures while I'm out, and then I can post it later. Right. So it's like a way for me to not be on my phone when I'm not at home.
Dude, you're my hero, bro.
So,
like, honestly, it's one of my issues. I'm literally addicted to my phone.
But look at all your Instagram followers. I only have 1,200 or something. So the fact that I would probably have more if I had could do it.
Well, it is.
But I don't care.
It is a tool that can be used for, positive and negative aspects, I guess. I mean, the negative side is it's so addictive to be checking the feeds all the time.
Yeah.
I rarely am in my house where I leave my phone in another room. I always have it near me. I feel naked without it, which is kind of weird that this little piece of plastic and metal is like controlling my behavior.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Or sitting there wanting to work on a project that requires some attention and like literally can't resist checking my phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to go put it in my unplugged microwave. Just because when I put it inside the little door, I really feel like it's put away.
It's somewhere where you can't get it.
I don't know why I picked the microwave. I don't use a microwave, but that's like my one place I'll go put my phone if I really need to focus and I don't want to be distracted. But then I'll be on my computer and I'll be tempted to check like iMessage for my text. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's hard, huh?
I mean, I can resist Instagram and Twitter and Facebook on my computer pretty well.
Yeah.
I will check my text, so I can never be away from my phone really.
Yeah. Well, it's all good. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I like your approach, especially with the phone call. It's very rare that when someone calls me on my phone, I'm going to pick it up. Like, I have to plan phone calls.
Yeah.
So it even says if you try to leave me a voicemail, it's like, hey, this is Luke. Thank you so much for calling.
I got that tonight.
I don't use voicemail.
Yeah, that was cool.
So please text me or email me because I can't stand talking on the phone.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Unless I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to have a serious conversation that's going to be meaningful. Otherwise, it can just be said in text.
Yeah.
But if we want to sit down and have a deep chat, then I put on speakerphone. I sit somewhere comfortable and I'm going to really pay attention and really engage with someone. But just random chit chat phone calls, I can't do it.
Yeah,
it's like infuriating.
I love it, man. That's funny. That's great. All right, so LukeStorey.com, STOREY for people.
Damn straight.
And your show right now comes out once a month or once a week, and every
Tuesday.
Every Tuesday morning.
The Lifestylist. Usually Tuesday midday.
Tuesday midday.
Yeah.
Okay.
This month of December, as I said, I'm doing 2 episodes. So the next one will be tomorrow, which is Friday, which we just probably won't be out then. And then New Year's Eve show. And then, moving into the new year, I'm going back to once a week so I don't have a freaking heart attack.
That's the hard thing about doing a show where you do like a wrap up if it's just you for an hour.
Right.
Because then it's like that one show that week, someone may want to hear an interview.
Right.
Because there's like some people like those, some people don't.
No, you'd have to make it a bonus show.
So you have to make it a bonus show. Yeah.
When I do ones of my talks, they're always a bonus show. I call them a bootleg broadcast.
Okay.
So it'd be like bootleg broadcast, Luke live in New York City or live in Aspen or whatever it is. So I definitely tell
extra.
people this isn't my normal format.
Yeah.
Because they might not want to hear what I have to say necessarily. They want to hear the interviews, So I definitely make a separation between.
I'd love to hear your solo shows, dude.
Well, cool.
That'd be awesome.
There's one on New Year's Eve on Sunday.
I'll check it out. That'd be great. Yeah.
It's probably the best one out of all of them because it was so, like I said, I had the flu. So it was so real. I mean, I cry on there. I talk about my past and issues with law enforcement and drug addiction.
Wow.
I was very forthright. And I actually sat on it. I did it in October and I've sat on it for the past 3 months or whatever it's been because I was like, I don't think I could put this out. This is like way too personal and vulnerable. And then I just thought, you know what, who gives a shit? Like
people like that.
It'll help someone.
Yeah.
Because I've been on a few shows like yours where we've talked about some pretty deep and personal stuff, around addictions and just whatever, sex, just human problems.
Right.
And then I've gotten feedback from people like, oh my God, I really appreciated how authentic and vulnerable you were. It helped me so much. I've struggled with those things too. And I was afraid to talk about it. And I like that transparency. So from that perspective, I'm looking forward to putting that one out. And it's like, oh God, if I could put that out, I can talk about anything.
I know, dude.
It was really, it was pretty vulnerable.
So when's that coming out, that one?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve?
Yeah, it's called Bootleg Broadcast, Luke live in Aspen.
New Year's Eve day or when?
It'll come out in the day.
Like midday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did one on Christmas with Guru Singh. Doing one on New Year's.
Yeah.
On
I saw that one.
special days, I like to, put out like a bonus episode, and then I'll get back to the once a week interviews. But I appreciate your encouragement for doing more solo shows because it's something I've wanted to do. I have to come up with a workflow where I can batch them.
Right.
I do like little 20-minute shows, 30-minute shows. Record a bunch of them in a weekend that'll last a few months,
Right.
Instead of having to oh shit, it's Monday, I need to,
Yeah.
That's what happens to me every week. I batch the interviews, but I never batch the full production, the graphic design, the intros.
Takes a lot,
ads. Yeah. So I'm never batched out far in advance. Usually it's like 1 or 2 weeks in advance max. I only batch out the interviews, but if I can get my batching down a bit.
The actual production.
Yeah, where I have like 4 finished shows in the can ahead of time. I can stay ahead like that. it would give me some breathing room to be able to do the solo shows, you know?
That'd be cool.
I'm just kind of always playing catch up now.
That's cool. I love when people are interested in personal development, and like if we do another show in a year or 6 months, like you're going to be a completely different person, learning new things,
Let's hope so.
Growing.
Yeah.
I love that, man. There's so many people, so many people that you see them and they're like 6 months later, they're the same person. A year later, the same person, same ideas, same thoughts.
Weird?
Yeah. It's like, dude, what new thing have you learned? What's exciting you?
It's so weird. I've run into people 10, 15, 20 years later.
And nothing's different.
And they're exactly the same. I find that so sad. I'm like, oh my God, thank God I was given this thirst for evolution, because it would be such a nightmare to keep repeating the same
stuff,
modus operandi.
Yeah.
You know, just the way that you experience the world and have that be the same all the time. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's so cool though. There's new books to read, documentaries to watch, things to go through, things to learn and experience. There's all these cool things to help us grow and to learn and manifest and all of that. And it's like, wow, some people you just, like you said, you don't see them for 20 years and they're the same. Like, I'm so glad people that are on this show and the people that you have on your show, that's what's so cool about it, is they're really into this type of thing where they're growing always, you know?
It's contagious too. You know, when you're around people that are evolving, like a friend of mine used to say, or one of my teachers, he said, like, we're in relation to family and old friends and stuff. I said, man, it's weird, but some people are just kind of falling out of my life. I'm not trying to get rid of them. I'm not mean to. They just go in. He's like, oh, Luke, he said it like this. I think he said, either they're going to grow or they got to go.
Nice. I like that.
I said, man, that's actually really true. It's really true. You know, not to take on the perspective like, oh, I'm better than them because I'm more evolved, but I'm really only interested in hanging out with people that are like committed to the path,
right?
You know, the path of growing and evolving. And like you said, having a show where you have a format where you talk to people about that is so rewarding. Yeah, because you get caught up in that group consciousness,
and somehow it helps you when there are times when you're stagnant, to grow and to be motivated and inspired. Like, you're inspiring me now, and it's like now it makes me want to do more. And so it's just really cool to be around people that inspire you and to lift you up and give you new ideas and inspiration and to grow. You know, these types of things, it's like there's so, you know, people today, it's like your life is caught up in so much busyness of work and stress and driving around and errands and kids. And so it's really cool when you're around. It's super refreshing to be around people like you with this, like, you're on the path, like you're learning stuff, you know. I think that's awesome.
Permanent student.
Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah. It's
the student that never graduates. Just go around and around.
Yeah.
But you know, one last thing, and I know we got to wrap up, but from the perspective, you know, this phenomenon where someone seemingly kind of wastes a lifetime, because I really strongly believe in reincarnation. I mean, all evidence points to the fact that, or not the fact, but the idea that we come and get recycled over and over again, right?
Totally.
In order to evolve. And so you look at someone's lifetime, maybe an older person who's just a crotchety old man, who's just like been a grump his whole life and has never changed and is just miserable. And you go, God, how can that person never change? They were the same today as they were 20 years ago. But we don't know like how many lifetimes they've been maybe working their ass off and have actually evolved from a really low state of consciousness to who they are now. And maybe they take a break every couple lifetimes and just kind of like, just get stuck in a rut.
Just chill.
And then this lifetime will end. Their consciousness, their aliveness will leave this physical form, come back in a new physical form, and maybe next time they're going to kick ass and be the next Martin Luther King or whatever.
Dude, that's
but right now they're just kind of stuck. They're in a lifetime of limbo, and so who knows how many lifetimes of limbo I've had for however many millions of years, perhaps.
And maybe this is the one lifetime where you're ramping things up.
Yeah, and mine's been hyperspaced, hyperspeed because of my acute addiction issues. Really.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's my greatest gift, because I was in such a dark place that I had to find answers. It was life or death. And so it catapulted me into this, at first, forced surrender and seeking of spiritual truth and finding a relationship with God, because it's like clear to me that was the only answer. Wow. So in one lifetime, I've evolved so much, dude, from how I was when I was a kid and a teenager and even the past 10 years, but it's not out of virtue. It's just out of necessity.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's just like, well, it's life or death. I have to evolve or I'm literally going to die. And so then that catches hold, and then I just do it because it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
So I try to be patient with other souls that are going more slowly, you know, because you just don't know the whole story. We only know what we can see in this lifetime that they're having. And in that, we don't even know what they've gone through, you know?
Yeah.
And that guy flips you off in traffic. I mean, you don't know. His son might have just died. He could be going through a divorce. He, you know, could have just gotten fired 10 minutes ago. It's like, you really don't know.
Or lost his parent, you know, 6 months, months ago or something.
You really don't know. And so, but that's not to say that I have to hang around with those stagnant people. I'm like, I'll catch you next lifetime when you're on board, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Right now I'm interested in high vibrations and people that are going for the stars, you know? So if you want to go there, we'll go and we'll help each other and support each other. If you want to stay back and, you know, the doldrums of depression and shame and self-pity and all that shit, like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's cool for you, but there's got to be a separation.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Bye.
Totally. All right, man. So LukeStorey.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. Yeah.